Flat Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a big shout out first and foremost to my latest Patreon, Giuseppe Montesano. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Trying to Triangle, Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Miles 24, Unimento M, Iron 26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W., Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealon's Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Can you think of anything particular he said that we've said wrong, or is he just generalized?
He's saying, okay, I'm going to tell you. He's saying relative density disequilibrium does not work in free fall. He's claiming that Earth has to be accelerating upwards. Otherwise, if we jumped, we would just float in the air.
Did you say in free fall? Like a
Yes.
helium balloon going up? This is such an easy argument to overcome.
I forgot what he said about the helium balloon. He said something. I had it with him anyway. I told him, stop. He's calling us to go there. You know where the show is. You come here. And there's what a following he's got, though. You got to hear all these people calling in. Oh, you're brilliant.
Just to
That's
listen
what I like about you. You're doing demonstrations.
Picked up on the main language, right? Free fall. Okay. So is everything falling? Like tending towards the earth, go down, go boom, boom. No. So just listen to the words free fall. Not everything's in free fall, though, is it? Most things are in fall arrest. Some things go up.
Yeah, he's wanting us to give, he's saying relative density disequilibrium is not a good explanation for why everything falls down. And that is true, because not everything falls down.
No, but he's got this thing where it's an impossibility.
No acknowledgement, zero. Say that again. That was perfect.
Well, his position is that relative density disequilibrium is not a good explanation for why everything falls down. And he is correct. Not everything falls down.
I understand what you're saying perfectly.
So I've kicked this recording off like an hour ago just to make sure the computer's not going to fall over. Not that I didn't do a full solid show on Friday after hastily changing settings, but everything seems to be cushy. So I'll start fiddling, putting things on screen, getting the Discord server set up, things like that. Can I get a hey from Discord?
Hello?
Hello. No, that's good enough. Let's start putting things on the screen.
I'm off the hook.
Say again?
I said I'm off the hook then. I'm not going to say anymore. It was a joke.
Yeah, indeed. I'm not paying attention to it. I'm sorry. I'm sure it was very funny.
Yeah.
Well, the way you said it, Nathan, the way you said it, you made it seem like he needed to be quiet now. You know, never mind.
Okay. I haven't got that mindset yet. I haven't put my YouTube hat on yet. It's because all I've done is gone, right, I'll do my intro, start it recording, and then leave it streaming to YouTube on pause. So the recording's paused, but the YouTube thinks it's getting a stream. I just haven't pressed go live, which means the computer's under the maximum amount of stress it can be under. So even though I'm not broadcasting and the recording it's not now, on pause, it's emulating being fully live under maximum stress. So it's like, great. If it fails at the hour mark, I'll be like, okay, I've got to make changes. But I haven't had any embarrassing live show shutdowns. It just means yet another extra hour lobbed off my life of a day. But that's okay, you know, sacrifices we make to make the millions we make on YouTube.
Now you're talking.
One bonus with this computer, I know we had a long discussion about it earlier, John, is as a byproduct, no matter what I do, it does always remain quiet, which was the primary focus. So obviously, you know, with hindsight, I probably wouldn't trade 8 or 9 months of stress and tweaking to keep it cool enough to not fall over for silence. But at the end of the process, I do know that, you know, it's kind of worth the effort in respect that I know now, with it running at 60 degrees, none of the fans or even one fan is on and I can't even hear it. You know, it's nothing's happening. It's silent, which is nice considering it's 2 feet away from me and right next to the microphone, just by virtue of how this apartment's laid out. So its objective to be silent next to a mic seems to still be achieved, which I'm very grateful for. You know, small mercies. At least
My
it's
brother
still
was
quiet.
telling me that. Sorry. I was just telling my brother was telling me that if you put a mini split system in your house, you can keep the computer in a cooler room, you know, away from you, so there won't be no noise because it's a very quiet system. The mini split.
Sure, my folks have got a mini split. It's very, very, very uncommon here, given that throughout the year we get about 15 days of heat. So most people don't have air conditioners in their homes. It's very uncommon.
Right, but I
You know what
remember when
helps,
I do big office buildings, they have a room, I guess, where all the power comes from for the computers. I don't know, but I know that room had to stay like really cold. So everybody's just working off a screen in the office, but that computer room had to stay cold,
Yeah, server room.
right?
Discord gang.
I was gonna say, you know what helps with PC noise or PC fan noise? Having a headset. So even if I'm gaming and, you know, the graphics card and everything is firing up because of the heat, if I have like my headset on and the volume is at a decent volume, I won't hear the fans.
I just put the
Yeah, but the
PC
recording,
in like a cabinet.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, just a open back cabinet where it can still breathe. And you know they don't sell those type of desktop desk anymore. I remember they used to look like all wooden cabinets and shit. But now you gotta let your PC breathe a little better. So Nathan, how was the tropical storm?
Tropical like. Yeah, I said to John earlier, it didn't do justice on the video. I watched it back with the people who watched it, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I was being pelted by pummel and the iPad was nearly being ripped out my hand with the wind. But none of that really came across on the video beyond me going, wow, it's trying to rip the iPad out of my hand. But other than that, it didn't really come across.
Yeah,
So,
we thought you were hamming it up a bit.
no, I wasn't. No, not at all. Far from it.
But
No,
actually,
it was
I experienced the same thing actually at the same time. It was a tropical storm over here with
Okay.
hail. I can show you hail.
Well, that's the only bit that did appear on the video. So when the hail came, it looked like it was raining. So, you know, I just don't think rain captures very well. And then YouTube came on and was like, this video's in 30 frames a second. And I was like, yeah, it is. That's a shame. But you just don't think about it. You just go, I feel that electricity in there that I've felt before. I know what's going to happen next. You know, I've been out, I can't remember where I've been in tropical storms, but when I've been out when I was a rep, I'd been in a couple of them. And indeed, when I was on my honeymoon with my wife, we were in tropical storms for the first 2 or 3 days. And
Is that not common in UK?
No, not at all. We're very,
We
very
get that shit
uncommon.
like every week.
We get storms
Huge
here.
thunderstorms.
Don't get me wrong, we get plenty of lightning storms here, right? Lightning storms in England are very common. But to have something go from blisteringly hot and dry, calm, to total chaos, things being blown off, guttering coming down, flash floods, drains overwhelmed, hail, and then 25 minutes later, clear blue skies.
Yeah, on
that doesn't happen.
On Thursday it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and that same day, 3 hours later, it was hailstorm with thunder and sideways wind and everything.
Yep, exactly. That's what I was trying to show people on the video. I was like, look at these trees, because they're all the branches are sideways. And it's like, even on the video after I looked it back, I was like, yeah, it doesn't look that dramatic. And then QB came in and like, we get worse than this in a weekday in Missouri. I'm like, oh, get lost. I'm sure you do, but for here, it's so uncommon.
It was a very British type of response to that.
Wait, what were you going to say on your honeymoon? You and your wife were in a tropical storm and you never got to finish. What were you going to say?
No, that's it. We just arrived, and we knew it was the end of the storm season.
Where was this?
Oh my
where
God.
did we honeymoon, hun? Paula, where did we honeymoon? Mauritius.
Who?
But yeah, we got there, and then within, we got there, it was lovely, and everything was all calm, and then all hell broke loose, and there's parasols being ripped off tables and things being pelted, and you're like, okay, looks like we'll be getting a massage.
Where is this?
Mauritius.
Oh, okay. Where is that? I don't know. Never heard of that.
Indian Ocean. It's like a little island.
Okay,
Just
I thought it
off
was
Madagascar.
Cancun or something.
Off Madagascar. Anyway, I knew what was coming, so it's one of them. I said in the chat, there's very rarely earthquakes here either, but I have been in an earthquake in England. So I think it was 2001, and I was in Wolverhampton, and we're in this guy's apartment, load of friends, like an after party or whatever. Anyway, we're all up, getting high, drinking, and then what I thought was somebody's washing machine breaking. In other words, like the drums come out of the axle, whatever you call it on a washing machine, but it's carried on belting against the side of the walls, which is attached to the kitchen. That's what I thought was happening, because it's the only thing I could visualize. But when I glanced up, the guy that we were with, who was making Indian tea, is like boiling up a big, massive vat of milk to drop one tea bag in and boil it for 1,000,000 hours. He's gone just instantly. Like, where did he go? He's just gone, because he's been in an earthquake before, so he knew and recognised instantly what was happening. While we were all looking at each other, going, "Oh, I wonder what this is," because we've never experienced it before, right? But he was gone. He was out of the building immediately.
He didn't even say "follow me, guys" or nothing. He just booked it.
Nope, nothing. But left the Indian tea on the stove, just gone. No ifs, buts, maybes. He was out of the building. He knew what it was. I am not going to be in this high-rise block while this earthquake goes off. No way. I am gone. So he'd sprinted down, I don't know, 2 or 3 flights of stairs and just got outside instantly.
Have you seen the latest video making the rounds of the UFO and the alien beings?
Yeah, Russian vid, shout out to you. Oh, when it means I've got to concede to 10th. 10th told us so.
The thing infuriating about it is they have handguns and are still scared to approach. They have handguns. And by the way, it's not Spanish. It's a weird type of dialect they're speaking. I don't know what it is.
What do you have to concede to 10th?
That they're going to start pretending that aliens are coming. They're going to ramp that up for this is a speculation, but based on the current media, I can't exactly say, yeah, whatever gives you that idea. They've been doing. Last time he said it, which was literally in the last few days. My argument to was so what? Yeah, they've been doing that since the 80s. It's part of the space narrative. This is nothing new. It doesn't mean they're planning a space invasion or softening us up to more alien invasions of any kind. Next thing you know, aliens have arrived in my backyard. Oh, God. And this is on mainstream. And the police believe you. And the investigative journalists believe you. All right.
But no video. No video.
No, that doesn't matter. One will probably surface. That's what the news reporter said, according to what Russian vids presented to me.
I've seen one that happened supposedly in upstate New York. Like the dude had some crops in New York or something, and that one looks eerily real. That it's obviously something out there in the cornfields. Like I don't know, it's eerie. That video is eerie a bit, because the video is high definition, and yeah, the farmer's reaction seems genuine, but it's all just video, right?
I don't know.
So are they identifying unidentified flying objects or unidentified aerial phenomenon? So they've identified what it is now, and it's aliens from an area that, if it did exist, we'd all be dead.
Yes. That's the thing about this space narrative, that maybe this is the reason we get so heavily censored. You can't have space aliens coming from lights in the sky. If you're going to imagine that a light in the sky is actually soil, that's what this boils down to, then you need that narrative of a sky vacuum to be maintained in the mind's eye of the public as being real. The moment we come along and go, yeah, the whole area is nonsense, you can't have a sky vacuum, we'd all be dead. The gas would fill it. You know what a vacuum is? You snap people out real quick when you go, do you understand what a vacuum is? Yeah. What happens when you put a high pressure gas next to it? Well, it goes into it really quickly and violently. Yeah. Okay. So what would happen to all the gas we're breathing now if the sky was a bloody vacuum? We'd be dead. It's obvious. Most people I have disseminated that argument to quite a number of people now. No, I don't mean in this arena. I mean just in general, going about your day. And they all had the same reaction. Oh yeah. It's not the same as the reaction we get on here. Tenth's
Hey,
better
I
at telling
finally
those
found
stories.
one. All right.
I was just saying, Tenth's better at telling those stories. He's got a lot more of them than me. I mean, I've got half a dozen maybe at best.
Well, I do have one story from my old job when I first found out, like right after the Black Swan, and I was trying to explain that to someone at work who was a pipe fitter. He worked with pressure all day long, and he started like holding his hands up in like was holding a ball, and he's like, "Gas stays like that," and I was like, "Have you ever experienced gas like a basketball?"
Are you
And
kidding me?
no, I'm not. No, in their minds, when they in their delusion of it, that's what it's doing. So yeah, he did that until he realized what he was doing, and then he put his hands down real quick.
Hey, I finally found the negative
Did
comment.
he
Can
ever
I
get
read
it?
it?
Did it ever did he ever get it? At least your concept of it.
Probably not. I never got a chance to follow up.
Tell him put your stupid hands down.
Exactly. Let me read something real quick. Finally, a good comment that maybe will wake this guy up. FED show runs 5 days a week. Anyone can join. All of Dell's Earthrise cult should be demanding their guru bring his hypothesis to Oakley's. There is a positive claim about the nature of reality on the table. That's what FED discusses daily. Like this comment, if you want Dell to present his case on FED. Otherwise, you can look forward to Dell doing more Cavendish pseudoscience from greater heights. That's perfect. That's what he's doing, right? He's dropping things from different heights.
Right, and then the statement that if you accelerate
You've
something
gone all quiet.
towards the ground.
What's going on? You've gone all quiet.
Move your mic, John.
Yes, I did. I picked my phone up upside down, and the screen flipped, and I didn't realize it.
What were you saying?
I feel stupid now. I'm just going to put my hands down.
Just let it go, John.
Just let it go. Yeah, that's my thing. He's just doing pseudoscience, making these things up and doing all sorts of things, and now claiming that Earth is rising up. And we're the stupid ones if we think stationary Earth is even a possibility, because it would be total chaos if Earth wasn't moving.
Well, he even said it like relative density disequilibrium doesn't apply to things in motion. well, we experience relative density disequilibrium, so we're not in motion. Thank you.
But hi everyone. The Earth is rising from where? What's the reference point to be rising from?
Oh, that's just Dell saying it. It's not. It's an outrageous claim. An extraordinary claim that requires extraordinary evidence. Not a question being posed to us or a challenge to something we have no claim attached to. When we say relative density disequilibrium, what's the positive claim I'm making? Anybody care to tell me what I'm defending as a positive assertion when making that description? Just a description. I mean, what's that you say? The effect? Yeah, there is one. It's validated scientifically. But I don't have a positive claim to defend. Yeah? Earth not doing anything isn't a positive claim. Yeah, Earth moving up is. Earth spinning is a positive claim, an outrageous claim. Now, saying, oh, well, you don't experience anything, you can't feel anything, so therefore saying that we're not doing anything, we're not moving, is an outrageous... No, it isn't. I'd have to defend us not moving if we're not feeling anything and we're not moving, and there's nothing to suggest we are. What's that? We've got 15 degrees rotation of the stars. Okay? If that's the ground moving, we'd notice we'd have a Coriolis deflection, as is claimed on the globe, and we debunk it with their claim that doesn't happen. Nothing's drifting at 15 degrees an hour beyond the stars. That would make us a non-inertial turning reference frame. We'd notice. We can debunk it with their own claim that we'd have drift. We don't. Okay. So we're not going to move forward with a spinning claim because we can debunk the outrageous assertion that has no evidence and only has apologetics for why we don't feel any effect and don't notice any drift. Well, apologising for why we don't see the effects of your outrageous claim isn't going to cut it. And it's only an outrageous claim because we don't see any effects, suggesting we're not doing anything. Again, not making not doing anything, not moving a positive claim, just the obvious and observable nature of what we experience. We're not bloody moving. Oh, right, we're moving up. Well, there's your new positive assertion. You need to defend that with really high standards of evidence, not asking me about some non-claim with respect to relative density. Who cares? I'm not making some assertion about what the Earth does. So it doesn't matter what I say about relative density disequilibrium. I've got no positive claim. Earth moving up, on the other hand, is absolutely outrageous. A positive claim that needs extraordinary evidence for it. Not a challenge against me without a claim.
But that's what they hear, right? Is they, in their minds, everything is going down. They're not understanding that that is malformed when they say why down. They're wanting to argue with your explanation of why things float, sink, or stay neutral. But they're arguing with it from the idea that everything goes down. And that's not what you're describing with relative density disequilibrium.
But in a vacuum chamber, things go down.
When you release gas into them, we just explained that if you explain to a normie that the sky is not a vacuum because gas expands at high velocity in all directions, is that down? Or is that all directions? If gas is produced at ground level, it's predominantly going up. Now, don't get me wrong, there's going to be certain stuff that bounces off other gas particles or something like a tree in the way, and then comes back down again, only to then bounce off the surface and go up. But ultimately speaking, if you take its point of origin, every vector is up. Because it comes out of the ground, doesn't go back down again, it goes out in all directions, up. So when you're talking about gas, no, it's not going down, go boom, boom. The force helium balloon's up either. It expands in all directions. That's what gas does. So there is no universal down, falling. What was it that you said earlier? You summarised it from Dell. I don't watch Dell. I'm not a big super fan like you guys, constantly talking about him and sharing his videos. I wish I had so many shares. Bloody hell. But lucky old Dell, he's got a lot of fans. Good for him. And you know all his quotes. So what was it he said? Something about falling or something like that.
Free fall.
Free
Does
fall?
not work in free fall.
But the free fall of a helium balloon, dumbos. The free fall of gas going up, expanding in all directions. The free fall of clouds and the gas that makes them going up. Is that falling? The falling free fall of gas going up to make clouds? If you're buying this, then you're an idiot because you haven't recognised that there is an extraordinary claim being made. Earth moving up is an extraordinary claim. Now, given that you've all just worked your way out of one stupid paradigm with a load of extraordinary claims attached to it, I'm quite shocked that all the people asking me about this have fallen for it again. Or more for you. Not my problem when I haven't got any claim to be defending in this regard. I don't claim Earth spinning. That's an extraordinary claim. Earth moving up is no different. Back it. Provide us with evidence that Earth moves up. Well, how do you explain this, Jimmy? I don't have any requirement to. Now, back to your extraordinary claim that's absolutely outrageous.
Right. People don't understand how a claim structure works. For me to deny a claim you make does not require me to give evidence. If you have not given evidence, I can deny that claim without evidence because you didn't give evidence. People aren't understanding that, I think.
Okay, let's clear it up first. The video was posted and somebody says he's calling out flat earth debate. That's the only reason why I looked into it. That's number one. So when I listened to it, yeah, he is calling us out. He's not talking about gas, Nathan. He's saying more dense objects. I guess he's excluding gas.
Or less
from
dense
the,
objects. So he's excluding less dense. So only the more dense versus the medium objects. Okay, what about the ones that are less dense? They would go up relative to the medium, but he wants to ignore that because things are in free fall. All right, except for the things that aren't, that we're going to ignore. Again, why am I debating this? I don't have a claim here. What is the claim? The Earth moves up. Absolutely outrageous.
Well, I think him and Eric Dubé are going at it a little bit. So maybe Eric will deal with it.
I doubt it, but we can always hope.
The Earth going up or down doesn't matter. The claim would be that uncontained gases will lead the way for the Earth to follow.
I just don't see why we're arguing any contrapositive position. So what's that? You say Earth's moving up. Oh, really? That's fascinating. Sounds bloody outrageous, but okay, prove it. There you go. That's my position on it. If it is, I'll be fascinated to know how you prove that.
His proof is if Earth was
It's the
not
best position we
accelerating
have.
Sorry,
up-
if. That sounds like a question.
Yeah.
That's not proof. That's asking me something when I don't have a claim.
Well, he claims if it's stationary, everything would be in chaos.
Oh,
We wouldn't be
really?
stuck
And he's
here.
varied,
We'd be-
and he's varied his outrageous claim that Earth is moving up to show what would happen when it's not moving up, stationary. He's varied and manipulated that which would cause his claim. No, he's a pseudoscience peddling idiot who has no scientific validity, only his outrageous claim followed by a question for us, against a claimless position that's scientifically validated in regards to relative density disequilibrium. We have scientific validity, but no claim to defend. If he wants to pick on something that is proven with science, fine, you want to argue against relative density disequilibrium. Why? Oh, because you've got an outrageous claim that Earth is moving up that a few numpties have bought, and we challenge that. Oh, well, maybe you can take the Jeranism route and call us all scammers. Fine, no worries. Meanwhile, I'll point out your outrageous claim about things proven in free fall, when helium balloons are going up and the clouds are going up and they ain't in free fall. End of your position, because we're not going to defend why all things are in free fall when they're not. Doesn't back his outrageous claim. End of story.
Right, but let me see if the laws of motion and everything that we understand here, right? In this paradigm that we're in, right? So if he has Earth coming up, can he still use all those things that are used in this paradigm, or doesn't he have to? Do they even apply? I think that's what Brian was saying.
If we allow him to, if he has begged our indulgence in regards to his outrageous claim that Earth is moving up, then does he have? I couldn't give a shit. No. First, we'll find out whether or not Earth is moving up. Then we'll worry about everything else afterwards. We're going to first prove our absolutely outrageous claims before we start asking questions about what might be if we accept that outrageous claim. Yeah, I don't know about everybody else in the audience, but this is beneath me. You not like that? Good. It's pathetic. First, prove your outrageous claim. I've just stepped out of an outrageous claim paradigm. I'm not about to step into one just because some numpty is telling me that the Earth's rising up. And what would happen if the Earth was stationary? All right, do you want to vary and manipulate that which you presume causes this effect to show us it with some scientific validity, because we can offer that? Not that we've got a claim to defend.
Right, but the majority of people have either don't remember or don't know how a claim structure works. When you're making a positive claim, that I think most people are oblivious to it, and that's how they get tricked by, parlor tricks, pretty much.
Well,
Yep.
we just talk here. He does demonstrations, and his demonstrations show that in free fall,
don't take it the wrong way,
density
Neil.
don't
It's
work.
okay. You
If
don't
it
have to
did work-
defend your Dell fandom. We all know. I know there's a lot of Dell superfans amongst us. More power to you. That guy entertains you with his demonstrations and parlor tricks, to then leave you scratching your head about the questions he asks about a claim you're not making, then, that's obviously entertaining to you guys. Good for you. On your way.
Nathan, the fact that we are not teeter-tottering and wobbling all over the place proves that Earth is rising up.
The fact that
Your
the
equilibrium
unicorns
tells you that.
aren't attacking us immediately proves there is a outside layer of argon gas. Otherwise, we'd have the unicorns attacking us. Obviously.
Yeah, the proof of something happening is something not happening. That doesn't. I don't know how you try.
Excuse
to
me,
compute
how
that.
dare you? No, we all know that the unicorns would be attacking if it wasn't for that argon gas layer. How do you explain why they're not attacking us? Do you have an explanation for why the unicorns aren't attacking, John? Get nay, fuck!
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, actually. And if we could discuss it as a dichotomy, maybe the conclusion we'll come to will be that the argon gas is keeping the unicorns away.
Exactly. You need to offer me an alternative position that I will argue against. What's that you say? We must have containment. Well, then the unicorns wouldn't even get here at all, therefore I win. Obviously, argon gas protective layer from the unicorns. So bloody obvious, isn't it? Be chaos. Be unicorn blood spill everywhere.
Well, Dell, I've tried. I can't. So, Dell, you're going to have to get your butt on this show and state your claim and back it up. That's how it goes.
That's all we're interested in.
But
Present your claims on the nature of Earth. We're all for that.
Now, let's say he comes on and he breaks it down and he discovers something. We're all for it, right? If he has some groundbreaking evidence that you can't counter.
Well, yeah, that's the point of doing this.
Right.
That's the entire point. If you just accept what someone says as fact because they said it, you're just back in the same position you were in prior to leaving heliocentrism. What good is it then?
Right. Like Nathan said, he just was delivered from one. Was he going to go back into another one?
I'm going to prove the fucking Earth's moving down. 9.8 meters per fucking second, you lick spittle. I'm going to release this helium balloon. And inside this helium balloon, I've got a nitrogen balloon. And inside the nitrogen balloon, I've got a bromine balloon. And inside the bromine balloon, I've got an oxygen balloon. And when I release this, it's going to go up, proving that the Earth's accelerating away from us downward at 9.8 meters per second. It's obvious, you lick spittle.
Wow, when was that from?
I think he just said that. He just was away from his mic.
Now, that sounds like a throwback from the early days.
Don't know what you don't get. Obviously, we're moving down at 9.8 meters per second. Otherwise, why the hell else would the balloon be getting away from the Earth that's moving down? Why do you think the clouds are up there? Because the ground's moving away from them. Obvious.
Yeah, I gotcha.
See, all you got to do is explain that phenomenon that's not a phenomenon and doesn't happen like that, then Bob's your uncle.
Have you got an explanation for free float? What's your explanation for free float? Because that's what we're dealing with. We'd have chaos if it wasn't for free float.
Oh, that's an absolute fact.
Stuff's floating.
We don't
I'm
have
looking at
that.
it. You want to tell me stuff's falling? Well, maybe when it rains. But for the most part in this country, I see clouds floating. So we've definitely got the Earth moving down 9.8 meters per second, down always, keeping stuff in free float. Obviously, stuff is free floating. You going to deny that, Neil? What's your alternative explanation for why the world isn't moving down at 9.8 meters per second? Because I'm going to be challenging that false dichotomy in a minute. So get on with it. What's your explanation? What's that? Relative density disequilibrium wouldn't work, mate. Wouldn't work. Yeah, we'd have chaos if it was just relative density disequilibrium. You've got to have something to create the free float. That's the ground moving down. It's moving down. It's being rude and intolerable. Talking through me. You're all talking through me. It's because you're all scum. Lickspittle, the liar. Not even listening to the conclusion. It's because you don't understand it. If you understood this, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. It's moving down. The ground is moving down 9.8 meters per second.
And buoyancy is what causes things to go down.
If it wasn't for the free float, we wouldn't have things falling. Obviously, you've got to have the ground accelerating away, and there's a little bit of density and descriptions in that form, in that description, but we won't get into that. But ultimately, it's dependent on free float. Stuff wouldn't fall down after you pick it up if we didn't have free float. Because the ground rushing down has also got the free float effect, which creates a downward bias in the air for the solid items. So bloody obvious. I mean, the fact that I have to even explain this to you. I mean, don't you guys realise we have free float? Look up at the clouds. It's obvious that we're moving down at 9.8 meters per second squared. Obviously. So, any challenges against the down that we are obviously? This is not an extraordinary claim. The extraordinary claim is that nothing's happening, that we're not moving at all. That, on the other hand, is outrageous. You better be defending that nothing's happening nonsense, because we'd have unicorn chaos. I'm telling you, we'd have clouds splashing on the ground if it wasn't for free float. Do you want to exist in swimming in clouds, constant fog? Good job we've got free float.
I always call that the burning unicorn fart fallacy. I don't know what its actual name is, where you get someone to defend against a position you're taking for something that isn't happening. You know?
You ever do like a handstand against the wall, and the blood goes rushing to your head?
You're just having flashbacks of being arrested.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead,
It is 0 miles per hour at constant speed. If we are stopped constantly, I mean,
yes, it's constantly zero.
That is what we observe. Constant speed, not moving. 0.
That reminds me of something that what's his name? Steve McLeod said. He said the speed of sound is constant in a vacuum.
The speed of sound is constant in a vacuum?
That's an absolute fact, Neil.
There'll be certain people out there that are chuckling along. Other people are listening to the silence and wondering why there's a silence. Some people just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, if you fart in space, all the universe can hear it. Propagation of sound in a vacuum.
Propagation of sound requires air.
Well, it requires
And
a
solid
medium. You can
gases.
actually check.
Well, a medium, water is equally capable of transmitting sound, yes, but not a vacuum.
No, so its speed would be constantly 0.
It's constant. No, that's constant, right? It's constantly 0. Which comes back to the question we were just asked. Is 0 a constant speed? Well, if you ask Steve McLeod, definitely.
Well, I think as I watched the video, I think someone comes in with electrostatics. So I think they're trying to put these two together. You know, I think it has to do with ether eventually.
What's that?
I think down the road there's going to be an ether claim.
Well, it would make sense if it's rising up through something. You need something for it to rise up through. That's what the heliocentrists figured out before Einstein. Well, no, Einstein even made it a material and then said it wasn't a material. So, yeah, if you're going to have it moving up through something, you need the something.
Well, hopefully he'll come on the show one day. I would love to see him come on. He came on Flatzoids. I guess he picks and chooses who he wants to, present this nonsense to.
Flatzoid's a little bit more laid back, and you can, like, Nathan's pretty sharp. Like, the minute you make a claim that's requires evidence, right? He's quick to it. Flatzoid lets him wander off into the weeds quite a bit. So I could see why there would be an appeal there.
Right. What do you mean, John? We were just talking about the unicorn invasion. John said he had an answer for that. I was waiting for John's answer.
I did give it. Nathan just didn't want to hear it because my answer for why the unicorns aren't attacking is better than his. He needed to silence me. It's that mute, 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 mute.
There you go. The one that he doesn't, the mute button that he doesn't even hit the right mute button, right?
Nah, he's right. I just didn't understand. That's basically the problem here.
John has unicorn repellent on. That's what it is. That's why the unicorns are not attacking him.
No, it's because the unicorn's farts ignite the gas in the air, and that's why the sky's on fire. You can see it at night, in the morning, and at night. The sky's red. That's the fire that keeps the unicorns back. If you didn't know that, that's why the sky is red.
Better come up with an alternative to put in false dichotomy, Neil. Quick, sharp.
Listen, the guy's proven something. He's dropped something, and relative density does not work there. In free fall, it doesn't work. So therefore, he's correct.
So when you accelerate something, relative density is not in effect because falling is in a form of an acceleration. Therefore, we are not falling. He's right. He proved that we're not rising up at 9.8 meters per second. We're not experiencing an acceleration. Good job.
The problem is we have a bias. That's what the problem is. And we're in a cult over here, and that's it. We have our bias, and that's it. We're not even going to look at it.
Don't even care. I don't care. This is just an ad hom. Well, they've got their bias. I don't care. I mean, maybe you care as a super fan. You want his approval, right?
No.
No.
This on me.
No.
I want. He's no different than anybody else. If you make a claim, come here and back it up.
Why?
Don't just shout out names.
Who are you?
Because he's shouting our name.
You go over to his show, hear his claims, and go, you should be over on this show with me, making your claims over here.
Because he called us out. He's calling us
So
out.
what? So what? We've dealt with it.
Nathan.
This is me dealing with it, Neil. We've just dealt with it. That's how much time it's going to get. Us going.
Yeah, I know. I read your
Us taking
comment.
the piss. With me going, yeah, the ground's moving down. That's why we've got, what did I call it? Free float. Just taking the piss out of him. Do you think it needs anything else more than me taking the piss out of his stupid nonsense extraordinary claim that he's got no proof of? beyond making a contrapositive that's equally outrageous in the opposite direction. That's all he's getting. He wants more. Yeah, if he wants more, then he knows where to find it. I'll take the piss out of him in front of him if he wants to come here. Do I have a concern where I'm going to go over to him? Why would I do that? Why would I want to go over to him to take the piss out of him? No, that's just
No, I
seems
don't
mean.
want you to. Listen, you can't listen when somebody says, "Meet me in the schoolyard at 3:00." You can't just mock from the other classroom.
Do
There
what he
comes a
likes.
point where
I don't
you're
care.
going to have to go to the schoolyard,
All
and the
right.
guy's going to have to meet you there. The schoolyard is flat earth debate. Dell knows where to
Neil,
come.
I get what you're saying from the sidelines. Meanwhile, I'm with one of the cheerleaders behind the bike sheds, not giving two shits.
But hold on a minute.
Man,
That is
No, we're a team here.
Neil's a general.
Well, that's kind of a childish way to look at it. It's his channel. He can say whatever ridiculous shit he wants to.
Exactly.
Wow.
More power to you. And if you dupe a load of people that happen to share an audience with me, oh well. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want me to control the world, Neil? I can't stop the being people that are stupid. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I'm just trying to make a show out of it. He's calling us
Me
out.
too.
He knows where
This
to
is
come.
fun. This is fun. Me pretending to be Jimmy and saying that the world's going down, calling you all lickspittle because you don't understand why free float is obviously keeping the clouds up there. It can't be anything else other than the ground moving down. It's so easy, but it's fun. You know, it's not like Dell has the entire Western world behind him with this crap, is it? Meanwhile, we've got bigger fish to fry.
Oh boy, you're going to start that again?
Yeah.
Hold
We
on.
went
just
through
a
this
minute.
before.
Yeah. What, demean the fact that literally it's of almost no concern, pretty much inconsequential. Oh no, the world of flat Earth. Oh, really?
Well,
Well,
that's how
Nathan,
heliocentrism started.
No.
hold on.
Go on, John. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna, we got a new paradigm. We got to invent new words. So I was thinking Beyonce could be the force from everything going up that pushes things down, right? That could be called Beyonce instead of buoyancy and gravity. We'll call it Beyonce, as it is created by uppity. What would you call that? Uppity?
No, it's the opposite of what Neil said that they'd used. So they'd said free fall. So I just turned that into free float. No?
Right.
Don't like that? Fine. You come up with something then.
I like it.
Uppity.
Right, but you're just addressing the phenomenon, but we got to give a cause for this phenomenon.
What phenomena? What, the outrageous claim that has no backing that Earth is moving up or down? That's
The
not
bottle
a
falling.
phenomena. Oh, it's just about to start.
No, the phenomenon's the clouds getting up there.
Oh, my
Yeah,
bad. Oh, yes,
no.
of course. Those clouds are for the phenomena. Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, this is too much fun. We probably shouldn't do it.
Now, we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Neil, Matthew, Eli, Adam, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Let's get it on.
Discord gang.
Hello from Discord.
Hello, good to have you all. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Nothing to vary and manipulate. Lots of natural phenomenon to observe, but you can't prove the cause of anything really with just observation.
We're not even asking for proof, though. We're just asking for a viable hypothesis. So a suppositional statement of cause and effect, A causing B. And if they went out of their way, they'd give you the null. A doesn't cause B, but that's inferred anyway. All you need is, here's what we're looking at. That would be a phenomena. What do you think caused it? That's it. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking them to validate it. Literally, all we're asking for is a viable hypothesis from any of those fields. That's astronomy, cosmology, and astrophysics.
Well, hypothesis would have to be testable, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to do that?
Well, that's not my problem. They're the ones claiming that they've got scientific validity for this crap. When they say that we're on a spinning ball flying through a sky vacuum, they used to in this arena. I mean, I'm sure they sell this crap out in the outside world now. That the science backs we're on a spinning water ball. Science has proven it. Science tells you, etc., etc. Okay, what's science? Well, the establishment of a cause and effect relationship with a systematic methodology known as the scientific method being applied to a phenomena. That would be to say you assume the cause of the effect of the phenomena and vary it. That's an experiment. That's science. So let's have some. Be a ball. What's that? There isn't any. How would they ever? Well, don't claim it then. What they've got is
Sixth grade
pseudoscience.
science.
Say again, Neil.
That's sixth grade science, Nathan. It's advanced since then. Come on, get with the times.
Well, beyond the empiricism offered by the method. Well, if you're going to claim science, why? Well, because science is empirical. And if you're going to make that claim, you're only going to hijack it for the positive reasons that you have when the attributes of science are actually applied. And what are those? Well, empiricism. You've proven things. So why would they say all of science has got your back on this ball thing? Well, because that implies empiricism. Oh, well, science has evolved beyond empiricism. Well, don't lean on the idea of having science then. We infer that doesn't have the same weight, does it?
How do you think you have a show? You're running your computer. Look at the advancements science has given us. Why are you being so ignorant on this? It advanced past the cause and effect. Now we're space traveling. We have a rover on Mars because of science.
That was a lot of nonsense to unpack. We don't have a rover on Mars because that would involve the light in the sky being soil.
I've seen it on the telly.
What, the light in the sky being soil on the telly? Well, that would also involve us travelling through a sky vacuum where the gas we're breathing at high pressure would expand at a high rate into that area of volume, leaving us with no gas to breathe. We'd all be dead if we were travelling through the sky vacuum. There isn't a sky vacuum. So everything you said was nonsensical, but none of it is science. If you're going to infer that we can travel to the middle of the ocean and dive down into the bottom of it, then that would be a technological claim, not a scientific one.
Right. The field of study of a rover would be in robotics, mechanical and electrical engineering.
You got that from science, though.
Right. But that is not astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics.
Any scientific evidence of gravity, as that's where we're ultimately heading here, isn't it?
Well, Dell has the Earth moving upwards, so there is no gravity. It's not needed.
Sorry, one man has an extraordinary claim without evidence to back. Therefore,
It's not just one man.
I don't care how many people make an extraordinary claim. How much evidence for the extraordinary claim do we have?
The fact that you're not teeter-tottering all over the place is the proof that Earth is rising upwards.
The fact that unicorns aren't attacking the Earth proves an argon gas layer protecting us from the unicorn attack.
The equilibrium tells you that Earth is rising upwards.
The solidarity in humanity that is not being attacked by unicorns proves that there is a protective unicorn layer.
It don't work in free fall.
Hold on
There's
a
no
second.
relative density in free fall.
Sorry,
The equilibrium,
go on, John.
I was going to say that the equilibrium we experience. Did you say that again, Neil? Like, I think that might be the one with the equilibrium.
Dell said your equilibrium tells you Earth is rising upwards.
Like being in equilibrium
No, it
means
doesn't.
nothing's happening.
Right. What the hell did he just say? That's what I was like, he don't know what these words mean, apparently. I don't know.
Anyway,
Right. The words like gravity. What is gravity? Because I
well,
don't know what that word
that's
means.
the positive assertion that the majority of the Western worldview hold in regards to us being held to the side of a spinning water ball flying through a sky vacuum. Gravity used to be, 108 years ago, mass attracting mass. So the mass of Earth holding your mass to it so you didn't fly off into a sky vacuum. 108 years ago, that was superseded by Einsteinian fourth-dimensional space-time bending, a pseudo-geometry describing a pseudo-fourth dimension based on time that folds and bends to give rise to a non-force that doesn't do anything in physical reality and only exists and operates in mathematics. So that's what gravity is I would say currently, but for the fact that that has speeds of light that are debunked by quantum mechanics. Probably why we're here.
Very nice. So it's a mathematical description of a fourth dimension that we don't experience in order to explain some effect in our third dimension. That's strange.
An effect that we don't experience in our third dimension, that would be that all things tend towards the ground.
They do.
What about the clouds and the gases that surround us?
We're not talking about gases. We're talking
We
about
are. We're talking
physical
about all
objects.
things. That would be all things. Gases would be included in all things. Clouds would be included in all things. Helium balloons would be included in all things.
Okay, material things that are dense, more dense,
So
like a leaf falling from a
the
tree.
clouds that produce the very life-nourishing water that you consume, that's not material things. I'm going to go with the sky and its stuff not coming down, but in fact being produced by the gases going up, annihilates this claim that things tend to the ground. They don't. If you assume they do, and then further to that assumption, start explaining why things don't do things, making apologetics for why things wouldn't happen but would if it wasn't for your assumption of an outrageous claim of Earth moving up, well, then they've got you, haven't they? Because you're already into a paradigm that has an alternative, the norm, not being in effect, but only having all things go down as a result of Earth moving up, when not all things go down.
It doesn't work in free fall, Nathan.
What about free float? You're ignoring the free float. In the pre-show, I made a very specific, also outrageous claim that Earth is moving down to create the effects of clouds and helium balloons and lift. We wouldn't have flight if it wasn't for free float and Earth moving down at 9.8 meters per second, because obviously we have free float. Have you not noticed the clouds? Yet this is the contrapositive, equally outrageous claim that Earth moves down. And I obviously believe this. I'm not just taking the piss out of a Scotsman.
Hello? Hey,
Hey, Owen.
my sound's finally come through. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. With the relativity thing, because that is like pseudo-Riemannian gravity, the only thing that's ever been connected for me in stories by astrophysicists and all that about it is like, oh, it's just that thought experiment of, oh, look at the motion, and I'll think that it's not you that's moving, but the other thing. But that isn't, it's not even describing an effect. It's just an observation and then another perspective of approach that is purely conceptual. Like, pseudo-Riemannian force space doesn't do anything. The gravity doesn't do anything. Like, they just provide you with a distraction where you're considering something that's happening from another perspective. That's all they ever do.
In numerical terms, it's even more simplistic. They just moved the scale one. So equilibrium or fall arrest, however you want to describe it. You, as an audience member, sat now. Just raise your hand or put a number 1 in the chat if you are watching this show and currently falling or rising in altitude. That would be to say rising up in a hot air balloon or falling from the sky. Just let me know by way of a number 1 if you're not just pretty much sat where you are or not moving anywhere. I mean, you might be mulling around a bit, but you're not falling or rising. Yeah, but
No, but you don't get it, Nathan. We are being pushed to the ground because the ground is accelerating up against us. And that's why we keep pushed against it.
In your experience, you're not falling, therefore not going down, and you're not going up, rising, accelerating up either. You're just in arrest. Fall arrest. Equilibrium, if you want to call it that. Either way, I was going to say with gravity, they just move the scale 1. So instead of equilibrium or fall arrest being 0, not doing anything, we're going to call that 1. That would be to say that there is a force of 1 when you are being pushed to the ground. Okay, so that's 1. What should we call it? We'll call it 1G. Okie dokie, everybody's clear. So when you're in free fall, that would be hurtling towards your death from a high altitude. We're going to call that 0. That's 0. It's like 0G, like nothing pulling you to the ground at all. It's like, you know, if you were in a plane and that was hurtling to the ground, you had no windows, with respect to the plane around you, you'd be floating around. The fact that you're hurtling towards your death, and unless you pull out of that parabolic maneuver, you will die, is irrelevant because that's 0. See the example floating around? Yeah, that's 0. See how I just moved the scale 1 and suddenly hurtling towards my death with a very definite acceleration. That's not really falling at all anymore. That's 0.
Yeah, but
Equally-
Nathan, if you then
I'm nearly
strap
there.
rockets,
Equally, I
sorry.
can move the scale the other way, can't I? So instead of 1, I can say -1. Well, why is that? Well, 'cause the ground's coming up. Is it? Yeah. Or I can do it the other way and go back with gravity and say, it's not that we've got a force of a bending pseudo-force space or a mass of an Earth pulling us towards it at 1g. I can say that, well, why not? The ground's falling away from us. And the contrapositive force of the ground going down and the air therefore being pushed up would have a, described with relative density disequilibrium, force that makes things that are more dense than the air go down. In other words, the reason things fall to the ground if you pick them up, yeah, is because of, what did I call it again, John? I can't remember the opposite of free fall. Go on.
Free floatity.
Free float.
Floatity.
Yeah, free floatity. Because of the force of free floatity. You know, if it wasn't for those clouds having the ground fall away from them constantly, you know, you wouldn't have the contraforce to make things that you pick up drop towards the ground as the air rushes away from them, towards the clouds as the ground falls away 9.8 meters per second, or whatever arbitrary value I ascribe to this outrageous claim that the ground's going down to give us the uppity force of free float. That's obviously there when I move the scale the other way. Because why not? You know, if it wasn't for that -1 force, we'd be at 0 and we'd all be floating around. If the ground wasn't going down away from you, we'd all be floating around. It'd be chaos. You're hearing me, lickspittle.
Nathan, what about -1g?
That's
When
what
you-
we've
when you
got with the
strap it-
ground falling away. Didn't you hear me? Are you not getting this? Because you don't understand. Now get nay fuck.
No, but I mean, come on, -1g, like that shouldn't be possible. But
The
if you
audience, he
strap
just
a
doesn't
rocket to
understand this
yourself-
stuff. He doesn't understand it. It's beyond him. Here in his echo chamber, not listening to people.
What?
You just don't
Maybe
understand.
you
You see,
don't
he's just
understand.
demonstrating how
I get it.
ignorant he is. It's just demonstrating his ignorance. This is obvious to most of the people out there. This isn't some tactic. The ground's moving down, Arwin. You just don't get about the... Bloody hell, I wish I could get this concise. Out of character immediately. What is it again, John?
Floaty float. Upward float.
Free uppity. Or no, free floatity.
No, it's a worthy model to compete with Dell, with how much sense his conception
Absolutely.
makes.
Let's get into this.
Let's
Exactly. Oh,
So-
thank you, Arwin. Perfect. Let's get into this false dichotomy. As flat earthers, let's argue about whether the ground's falling away or moving up, whether it's because of the free fall or because of the free float. Obviously, Dell and I agree that if his +1 scale or my -1 scale weren't in effect, we'd have chaos. So we're both in agreement. I mean, it's got to be one or the other, right? Meanwhile, we got dicks that think we're spinning and there's forces holding them the side of a water ball that's flying through a sky vacuum. Yeah, but let's just argue this in false dichotomy with Dell. Nah, I'd just rather take the piss out of him. Much more fun. Then we'll get on to the more pressing business of a Western worldview that we're spinning and held to the side of a spinning water ball, rather than some crazy-ass Scotsman's outrageous claim that we can literally just take the piss out of. I mean, that's just definitely not of a high concern to me.
Nathan, he's got demonstrations. What do you have?
I've got a demonstration. I don't even need to do anything. The clouds are always there, proving the ground goes down. Do you not see the clouds, lickspittle?
Oh, Nathan, you have to. strap
Sorry, did I have to
your
drop a
mobile-
bottle? Did I have to
Yeah,
do
you have to
anything?
strap your
Are the clouds
mobile
there
to
or
water
not,
bottle.
lickspittle? Nobody's answering me. It's because they're all scared. It's because they're all ignorant. It's because they don't understand. It's because it's so obvious. It's because they've spent so much time in their echo chambers. They don't realise that I don't even have to drop a bottle. I look at those clouds and know damn well the ground's falling away. What else could it be? There'd be chaos if it wasn't. You having fun, Dell? Me too.
It doesn't count if you don't strap your mobile to a water bottle and then throw it out of the window.
I keep telling you I don't have to do anything. The clouds are proving the fucking, what's that term? Free float.
Free float.
Free float. I'm proving free float every time I look out my window, sunshine.
No,
Okay,
you
Jimmy?
don't. You're not
Okay,
varying
Jimmy?
and
You hearing me,
manipulating
Jimmy?
it. You're not varying and manipulating it.
I don't need to. It's there already. Like I say, I don't have to toss some scraggy ball out of a car window. I don't need to do anything. Mine is much
Yeah,
more
but
you
obvious.
said prove. You said prove, though.
Yeah, I do. Just by looking up, you just have to tilt your head to prove the ground's falling away from you, Arwin. I don't have to chuck a bottle out of a window, mate. Yeah.
No, but hold
Right.
on. You can point at the cloud to
Yeah, so can you,
disprove a
mate.
claim. Oh,
So can
God,
you, Jimmy. So can you, and that proves it. You there with us now? You with us, Lickspittle?
Hello. When you point at a cloud, you can use that to disprove a claim somebody else makes. But if you're going to have your own model and point at that cloud, well, you're still kind of making a claim for a model, and just pointing at a cloud is not varying and manipulating it.
No, let's
So
not
as
get.
a
No,
disproof,
no.
works.
I am not making a positive assertion, and neither is Dell. Right? No,
Arwin,
let me finish. The people who are making an
outrageous.
outrageous claim here are the people that say nothing's happening. When obviously nothing's happening. If you're not floating up or going down, it's only because we're upward accelerating Earth or downward falling Earth. I mean, it's only because of them, because we'd have chaos if it wasn't one or the other.
I wanted to argue within the false dichotomy because Arwin is denying that I can boil water and make steam go up,
Yeah.
which proves, I can vary and manipulate up.
Up. But up is a direction. That's not a natural occurring phenomenon.
So you
there has to
admit
be
it.
something
So he
occurring.
admits it, ladies and gentlemen. Up is always a vector. Always. You heard it. You heard it. Trim that out. Proof. Earth falling. 9.8 meters per second. It's accelerating away from you. They're always, that vector's always in effect, isn't it? There is always an up, isn't there, Arwin? Always.
What?
There's always, you just said it, Jimmy.
You're
There's
giving me a
always an
headache.
up. You telling me there's not always an up?
Always an up.
There
Well,
you said it again.
The density
Trim that out.
gradient definitely has that vector, yeah.
So there's always an up. So I'm proving it over and over again. Why aren't you, Lickspittle, not getting
But
this?
there's also
The ground's
a down.
falling away. They have to talk through it. It's because they're scared in their echo chambers.
It's going down, though.
It
Yeah,
only goes
because
down
of
because,
the up.
because it's going up.
Because of the up,
Yep.
Arwin, obviously.
Yeah, that's very tiresome. Don't fully go Dell, please.
You never go full retard.
Excluding gases, everything goes down.
Excluding solids and liquids, everything goes up.
Yeah.
And what's your point, Neil?
The clouds are not gases, though. They're droplets. They're actually liquid, and they don't go down.
Good point, arguing. Let's argue about this for the next 3 hours. Meanwhile, the Western world is still under the impression that mass is attracting mass if they're educated to a high school level, or that the bending pseudo-Riemannian force space-time described by Einstein causes a non-force force that you can think of as a force that holds you to the side of a spinning water ball in a vacuum. What's that you say we should argue with, Jimmy? Nah.
An emerging force.
From the majority of the Western world, not from some small little clique of weirdos that think that the Earth's rising up. Yeah, we got big fish to fry here. So any science,
Bill's always welcome.
all are welcome. I say it every day. If somebody's got some extraordinary claim and they want to present it here to have their ass handed to, no worries. We'll just take the piss out of you. No shame.
Why
We've
do you-
lost all empathy for you. Yeah, we had enough of it in about 2017, 18-ish. Now we have zero empathy. We're just going to take the piss
No,
out of you.
That's pretty cocky for you to think that right away you're going to hand their ass to them. Maybe he's got something here.
I've
Why
already
don't
heard
we
it all.
hear the guy out?
I've already heard it.
Right. But if he's got an extraordinary claim, he has extraordinary evidence to go with it. It's not like he's just going to fill up a bottle of water and throw it out of, throw it. I mean, that would be dumb.
That would be
Not
silly,
throw it,
especially
drop it.
especially when
Keep
there's
us
the
in it.
clouds like right outside. I mean, I don't even have to fill up a bottle, do I, to prove that the ground's falling away at 9.8 meters per second? It's really easy. You should look up, and there they are, proving the upper
You don't
T.
even have that right. He does not throw it. He lets it go.
Yeah, I can do the same
Well,
with the helium
is there a
balloon.
claim?
Yeah, I do the same with the helium balloon and make the same claim.
But that's gases.
But that's
Well, yeah,
solid.
but see, I can.
Look,
I'm-
guys, can I say something? Throwing a bottle down what Dell tries is no better than presupposing that the Earth is spinning because of the angles of the sun. I mean, it's literally that. It's a presupposition. It's pointless, and he doesn't get it.
That was the point of what me and Nathan were doing, was to make fun of that.
No.
I get it.
I was super serial.
You were giving me a headache, man.
No videos today? Or are we still doing housekeeping?
I don't got anything planned. We've been chatting for about 2 hours. John and I, that we were chatting about people being electrocuted, so it probably wasn't suitable for live shows. I don't know how. Oh yeah, because of the voltages of computers. Anyway, we had some good stories. Some of it made it to the pre-show. Check it out if you're a member. But there's knocking on 100 people watching, so we should really have something to talk about. I can run through housekeeping questions if it's going to develop more of a conversation. Does Adam
Sure.
have anything to say on this? He hasn't said much. You sure he's on the side of... God, I'm going to have to remember that term. It's just not going to be... It's never going to flow with character. If I can't remember the damn term, I'll have to ask John.
Free float.
Free float. I'll get it. I will get it, I promise. Free float.
And if you're going to talk about it within a mechanical sense, it needs to be floatedy. Because
Floatity, yes.
Is the floatedy sticky or isn't it sticky?
Well, I think the Arwinian always up force that you described earlier and conceded is definitely something that we can ascribe to you. You know, there is always an up, Arwin. No one's ever going to deny that, are they?
What?
That's the
How dare you?
Arwinian up.
There
Screw
has
you.
to be. There has to be
Has
enough
to be.
because we're stuck on the ground.
It's not
Exactly.
The reason why we're
Arwinian.
stationary.
Exactly. It'd be chaos. Anyway, we've done this enough. Hope you all enjoyed that.
No
If there's any
Arwinian up,
fans of Dell
dude.
out there, right,
No
look,
Arwinian up.
it's all in good fun for us. So what do you want me to do? Do you want me to roll through some housekeeping questions? What do you want me to do?
Yes, please.
Okay. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there.
What is the sun?
It's soil.
well, you don't have to know what something is to know its distance.
Well, it may be an effect. And we
Said-
only have angular data.
Soil, same as the light called Mars. Soil. We could land on that, the sun. That
Yeah,
light
the
in
sun is
sky.
a solid gas.
So, it's soil. Like coal, maybe.
So
you
you're
know.
saying we can't get to the sun if
No, I'm
we
saying
shoot
we
a
can.
rocket?
And it's made of coal, and we could stand on it. That's what I'm
An
saying.
old friend of mine used to call it the copper duck.
When did you get out of the
That's good.
asylum?
That's going to start a movement.
Koperen ploert. I don't know. Some people apparently used to call it that. It's a copper duck.
It's a solid gas giant.
In a sky
Well,
vacuum?
that can't be, right? Not in a vacuum.
It depends. I mean, if it's sat in
Well,
a
you never
maybe-
heard about solid gases? Yeah.
That's a contradiction in terms.
Solid gases.
So just
Well, if you don't,
rather than blindly running through the housekeeping questions, and fun though this sun question is, has there actually been any progress in respect to elevation angle measurements off a curved baseline? And let me preface this by saying, what we have had so far in response, and Matthew Learns is the most recent. Maybe I need to change the thumbnail on that video. I put a lot of work in. It's hardly had any views. Anyway, they come and affirm how flat Earth must be. Dave Triangles McKeegan is another example. Protothad, MC Toon. They're all done the same thing. They've come along and shown just how flat Earth has to be. So, is that what we're going to get from here till the end of this discussion? Just Globers coming along and throwing a flat Earth at us to try and prove it's a sphere? Because it seems like a bit of a crazy state of affairs, and I'm not 100% sure that the people who are onlookers necessarily get this. Sometimes things that seem obvious to us, the audience might not necessarily realise that literally what we've had since the elevation angle argument was first presented is globers coming to us and going, it's got to be flat. Look how flat it's got to be. Use this bit flat and that bit flat. How does it work on a flat Earth with all these flat bits? That's where we're at. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating with that. That is exactly how it currently is.
Yeah,
Should've-
they have a lot of trouble figuring out even how we see the realm, right? So they're always making these really stupid primitive strawmans that just seem like they never went beyond just making a little model out of a piece of paper with a bunch of strings or something. Because they always get it wrong. So they never actually listen to when we try to describe what we think about the realm. They don't actually listen to that.
That language thing, when you said strings, do you mean chord lines? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I
Like
thought you were.
pieces of paper, a very primitive model that you could just.
I knew what you meant, but when you said, chord lines, I know what you mean. I've known Arwin well enough to know where that subtle change in tone, where you knew you got the wrong word. You mean chord lines. Brian's not here. No worries.
Okay.
I'm just being pedantic,
Well-
sorry. Not even pedantic. It's overly fussy about our language.
There's really that big of a difference?
Chord lines are a pretty
What's a
important part of
string?
their geometry when they've got to draw a line through Earth after taking elevation angle measurements off a flat surface, transposing it
Oh.
down to the equatorial plane, and then inferring that the flat line distance that they'll take is actually the outside edge of a protractor. Well, that, when they're describing how they can get it from the surface, results in a chord line. So that's how that argument goes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I was actually talking about just something you can do with glue and paper and a piece of string. Because of how the ballers see the flat Earth model.
Oh,
Right? They
okay.
always get it wrong.
So when you said model, you physically meant papier-mâché built on a crafting table model. And I
Yeah.
was thinking about the fantasy never-to-be-produced sphere Earth in a vacuum model, where the equatorial plane is at its centre for the angles to be taken from hell.
Now, I was talking about how globers see the flat Earth model. And it just seems like they build it out of paper mache, really primitive. And that's where their questions come from, right?
No,
Why
it
can't you
depends.
see the sun all the time? Right? That comes from that type of modeling.
Well, it depends on which model you're talking about, because if you're talking about their flat Earth model that they confuse as a celestial sphere over a flat plane, they talk about it. They pull their measurements from that. That's
Yeah. But that's not really involved in when they strawman us, right? What they think the flat Earth model is and where the problems are, and thus the questions they ask us about it, like why can't you see the sun all the time? Right? It's over a flat disk. Why can't you just see it all the time? Right? That comes from that strawman modeling that just seems like they build it out of paper mache and they never really looked into it that deeply.
Yeah, I think I get your point. That's what led me to sit across the table from Mark Sargent and say, look, your use of the azimuthal equidistant globe Earth projection. Now, in hindsight, that's still a flat Earth from a flat Earth to give you a globe to give you a flat Earth, but I didn't know that back then. My position to Mark was that it was detrimental. Now, he pleaded his case, and frankly, I think he put a very good case for the introduction to a completely new worldview with something visual to help you get there, as a pretty good argument in his defence. But I ultimately pointed out that it's a false dichotomy, a reification fallacy, and all the objection points, which he's since and subsequently incorporated in. But that works off the back of that objection, right, Arwin? You don't, again, have a claim to be making in this regard, so why are you suddenly offering up how the sun works? Do you know what the sun is? Have you measured it? Have you gone to it? You haven't, so it's all based on inference, mostly off globe projections that needed the flat Earth to begin with, admittedly, but that I understand your objection, Arwin. I think
Right.
go
Right.
on.
Yeah. Very typical issue that they have is that they think that the flat Earth sun is still a burning ball of gas, but smaller or something in a physical position, right? And that just like completely screws it all over, like the mechanics of it. When you even try to imagine it, so they basically project their presupposed claims about what they think the universe is onto the flat Earth model as they try to construct it. That's what they typically do.
Well, if they're going to show you anything that resembles a model, it'll either be the flat Earth celestial sphere, which would be, when they're talking about it, a disk floating through a second law of thermodynamics violation. So of course they want to put it in that context, because that's what the pictures they show you will be asserting that. So they have to deny it.
Right, controlled opposition. So in other words, if you've got certain aspects of your model that you want to retain, like gravity, the Einsteinian notion that Earth is moving up at 9.8 meters per second squared, that your 0g is you not accelerating down, but at a 0 point with respect to the force that's always in effect that's not really a force.
It's going to get really funny when we find some numpty reviewing the flat Earth model and then asking the question, how is that gas going to stick to that flat disk in outer space, flat Earth? I'm still looking forward to bumping into that one day.
Yeah, but that's a fairly common question. Containment. We must have it. It's an antecedent for the gas pressure we're breathing. Without a container, there can be no pressure. End quote, conspiracy cats. Well, that's why we have gas pressure. But for the containment, we'd be dead. We'd have no gas pressure. There must be containment. What is the containment? I don't know. Just know there's got to be some for the gas to be here at pressure. We're in a pressurized system. It's that simple. What are you going to say? That you can achieve a pressurized system without containment? Like your heliocentric model? Well, you say yes because the sky is a vacuum for you as a fundy ball believer. Oh, well, that's fascinating. Also a second law of thermodynamics violation.
Right. But in their mind, they think that, no. If gas is going to stick to a ball somehow, that's more logical than it sticking to like a disk, because the gravity on a ball is all equal. So that means that the gas would then equally stick to it and be like how we experience it. But on a disk, the gravity is all screwed up, and it's not like, the gas wouldn't distribute itself properly around the disk Earth. Right?
Arwin,
That's
on
something
form.
that I'm expecting.
Arwin, on form as ever. We've got two concepts Arwin's managed to very sneakily juxtapose within his position that he's put forth in a funny voice. Sticking? What do you mean gas is sticking to a disk versus sticking to a ball? Gases don't stick. They expand in all directions at a high velocity until they fill whatever area of volume they have to fill. They're not sticking. Fundamentally unstuck, in fact. They have no bonds. So when you say, how's it going to stick to a disk? Oh, that sounds like a very convenient position for a globe earther who has a claim of gravity to put against his position that how would the gas all stick to a spinning water ball in a sky vacuum? Well, I've got a force that's not a force. There's actually the bent medium of a space-time in a pseudo-geometry that holds it to the side of a water ball because we're in a sky vacuum and that proves we're on a ball.
Yes, in pseudo-Riemannian force space, it's like in a bowl. It's like sitting in a bowl because gases in pseudo-Riemannian force space are more like liquid, right? Within the fourth dimension. So it's just the gas is just sitting there like liquid in a bowl of the gravity.
Yeah.
Gravity is the bowl.
Oh my God. Okay, Arwin. Jeez. Yo, so what you said before about them saying that it's like what did you say about the it doesn't make any sense with the disk, but they have an equatorial plane that's a disk. They also have the galaxy that we live in is also a disk, also might be donut shaped as well. Then there's also just, the entire everything that we know that is expanded so fast, faster than the speed of light, that everything is flat. So what's so hard about the concept of disks when there are disks everywhere in their model?
Because you have to do that. They can't actually look into our arguments. They can't actually look into the second law of thermodynamics argument. They just have to think of how they think of the gas pressure sticking to the ball thanks to gravity, even though they don't know how it would do that. And then think, it's equally distributed on the ball. And now, it's not equally distributed on the disk with our version of gravity and how we think of it, and even though we don't know it.
Let me paraphrase. Hold on. Hello. Let me paraphrase this question. That's what he's asking. He's saying, if you're going to offer up a controlled opposition narrative to be defended against by flat earthers in regards to a disk Earth flying up in a sky vacuum, Why would you pose that as an opposition? How can I phrase this? Controlled op narrative for us to pick up. It's the only way I can phrase it. It's all a bit long-winded. When the majority of heliocentrism is based on a flat disk. So if you talk about the solar system, with the couple of exceptions of some certain orbits that they have incorporated, for the most part, it's a flat plane. And then you move out to further reaches, and it continues in that fashion. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have three-dimensionality in their ever-expanding infinite universe, but for the most part, their models are based on flat planes and disks, like Eli's describing. So how can that be an objection in the dumbed down for the mainstream, great and washed narrative? I think I'm answering your question there, Eli. Is what he's putting to you when it's mostly disks and heliocentrism.
Those flat disks they use for the supposed galaxy, that's just maps, right? You can't actually map a complete 3D situation like that on a piece of paper, so they just project it into a flat disk.
That's not what they claim.
Unless
They
you have
claim-
a space plumb bob.
Space plumb
No,
bob for the space excellent.
They say that
Space
there's
water level.
Hold on, Arwin. Go ahead, John.
They say it's asymptotically flat as well. That's why we have flat galaxies
What the
that
hell was
look
that?
like spirals.
I'm sorry to interrupt you after I've told Arwin off. Asymptotically.
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 Asymptotically. What does asymptotically mean?
As an asymptote.
I wasn't asking you. You didn't say it. When you come up with a cool word, you can explain it.
From whatever reference frame you're looking from. So, like when they're describing the universe, they're trying to step into like an objectively flat universe is what they're because it's a word that's built on a lot of presuppositions. I'd have to define a bunch of other words first before. Let me get the actual definition, and I'll tell you how it applies.
Yes, please. In the meantime, my overriding question here is there any advancement in regards to the question in respect to any elevation angle measurement being performed from a curved Earth or a curved baseline or a curved adjacent? Has anybody actually got any progress beyond them throwing flatness at us, which is what's happened so far?
I think that people overall are just ignoring it and just thinking that it works, even though you wouldn't want to make a computer perform such an action because it will give you an error. But in their mind, they can still make it work. Right? Just think of the flatness as curved or the other way around.
That doesn't make the baseline flat. If you're measuring to GPs, I'm not going to get into the argument with you. We know the argument. But I'm saying there must be something from the ballers that's better than saying, yeah, we measure it flat. But then we put it in the middle of the ball and extend the plane called the equatorial plane out beyond the ball, and we measure angles out beyond the ball also when we're in the fiery pits of the central core of hell. And they go out to the the sphere that surrounds the flat plane that is the equatorial plane with the surplus to requirement ball and at the center of in the middle of that model. That currently is all they've got. Well, that's useless because it proves Earth's flat and proves you're measuring angles flat. But I'm saying, have we not got an anti-flat Earth rhetoric yet?
Nope.
It's
Just
worse than
celestial
that.
navigation in hell. That's it.
Sextants don't exist.
Arwin
It's
saying,
worse-
let me just stress Arwin. He's got his words out. I just don't want him to think they weren't heard. You're saying angles from hell is their rhetoric. I know. That's what I'm pointing out. But that's the mainstream rhetoric. Angles from hell, which is what they're now going to shout out to you, Danny Faulkner. Yes, a Christian has given us this terminology in respect to the equatorial plane and angles from hell, Arwin. But that's the mainstream rhetoric. Where's the anti-flat Earth rhetoric? Normally we've got a glurf rhetoric to go alongside that makes no sense, like refraction.
Right. Well, I meant celestial navigation as a whole. I mean, on a globe, celestial navigation only works in hell. And they try to hide that by just not talking about it. as they literally draw it like that when they try to demonstrate how celestial navigation works. That's all.
How are you getting on with that definition, John?
I was about to say, it's raised. It's the way it's defined is the curvature disappears at long distances. Is the most simple explanation you can find from asymptotically. So when you're looking at the whole, it's flat.
Asymptotically means the curve disappears when you view it from distances.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's crazy, but that's what, because they're talking about the difference between two different ideas of space-time. And so they say the curvature exists in this one model, but if you zoom out enough, it matches this other model. And they get the word asymptotically flat from that.
Fair enough, you learn a new word every day. It's very much a baller word, though, eh?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's deep in the religion. You know, you gotta be like talking to Buddhist about Brahman. You know, you don't just talk about Brahman right off the bat. You gotta actually get into the religion to find that word. You know.
It's even worse than that, though. When you are talking about the elevation angles with them, they actually do state that they're not even claiming that they use the globe. They actually tell you that. They admit you can't use the globe.
I guess that is why it's the end of the argument. If it was ever an argument to be had, that would be why it's the end.
Okay, well, what are we going to do? We're going to do some more housekeeping questions? As we've got no 10th man and therefore no video to respond to.
We kind of killed the argument, Nathan. There's nothing left to respond to anymore. They're in agreement. Earth has to be flat to measure angles from it.
But that's why I kind of wanted to highlight it, because it is a weird position to sort of end on, in the respect to say, no, the argument's dead since elevation angle arguments, because the response isn't just something that debunks the globe entirely. So refraction, okay, so you haven't got a geometric horizon. So that's the end of your globe geometry. But in this respect, they're saying, no, we've got to measure it flat. They're agreeing with us to such a degree that it's quite weird.
Well, isn't that the idea that Neil brings up that, that's sixth grade science, or, the model you're talking about is archaic, and we built this more complicated model, or we've gone past empiricism, wouldn't it relate back to delusion because of that?
Yes. Finally got it.
They just haven't developed it yet,
Yep.
Nathan. They're working on the space sextant, which doesn't require a horizon.
Yeah, the Carta Marina is the problem here, because the Carta Marina, which is the charts of the sea, basically, that's what it means. It maps out the oceans, and that is what is still used today for navigation. I mean, in terms of the seas, that is, because it gives you distances to reference points, not only on the ground but in the sky, and this is how we navigate it. And it has been pointed out that it doesn't match the globe model. That's why they're not using the globe model. They need still to refer back to the Carta Marina, which is pretty much the what we talk about all the time. Locations on the ground and distances to it. All of that requires a flat plane.
Can't get around
And
that,
that's
right?
the big discrepancy. You can't go around that.
So we've got
And
nothing to
everybody
argue
that
about
comes
anymore.
on proves
Bloody
it. Sorry.
Go on then.
Yeah,
So
they are
I
in
was
a
just
difficult situation because they have to contradict the current science, and that is a problem. But no one uses the globe model for navigation.
Yeah, I don't see any globes on naval ships. It seems like
The globe
everybody
is
that
flat.
comes on.
It was measured like that.
And the Greeks knew that.
Yeah. If I may just add this point, and that is, I think our target is to obviously end the conversation, debunk and destroy this heliocentric model. It destroys itself anyway. And there was another point I wanted to raise, and that is beware of the tactics that they use in that they try to dissuade you from being a flat earther, in that, you're the science denier and things like that they use to try and keep us on that globe that doesn't exist. So ending the conversation, like, destroying their model, is our target, I thought. So it should be that you end it on that.
Yeah, but discovering the nature of our reality as far as being a flat plane or a globular ball falls outside of the scientific method, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
That's right.
when you
Yeah,
point
but
that
in
out,
this case, it's
though,
a
they will
geometrical plane,
deny.
isn't it? It's flat.
When you point out that falls outside the scientific method, they will deny that science proves anything, becoming science
Yeah,
deniers.
then why follow? Then the question is, why follow the science? If science proves nothing, why am I wasting my time following a science that proves nothing? We live our lives by proofs and evidence. That's the basis of our existence. So if we're going to follow a thing that doesn't prove anything, you won't catch me there at that party at all.
How do you prove
Well,
that science doesn't prove anything?
Yeah, exactly. Great question. Brilliant.
Put it from
well,
the scientific method.
if it doesn't prove anything, then what does it do? That would be my question.
Yeah.
well,
that's
we
it.
know that science does prove. It either proves or
It
disproves,
only
right?
proves that you cannot prove anything.
Well, that's the problem, though, right? Then
Crazy, isn't it?
It depends what you'll accept as evidence, George.
yeah, but that's the problem.
Yeah,
If
and they don't bring
all it
evidence.
does
It's not
is,
the same.
if all it does is disprove, then you're proving the null, but you don't test the null. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. They just have to give a crazy response because they're the actual science deniers at the moment you ask them for their science.
No, I
Yes.
think I got it now, John. I think I got it. When we say that it falls outside of the scientific method, that is the scientific method, but they have a different science, and it's called pseudoscience. So they try to prove their sphere using pseudoscience.
But it's all presuppositions in the first place, yeah?
Yeah, but if you just don't declare the first section of your begging the question fallacy, then it stops being a fallacy. I must change that Matthew Learns thumbnail.
Change it to Matthew
I
learns
tell you
nothing.
what, that Matthew Learns, the way you edited that out, where he says the same thing, but one side he says it is begging the question, and on the other side of it, he says it's not. I don't know how you could say that within the same video.
I know what you got to do, John. You got to get an image
He's
of
very
him,
confused.
Nathan, an image of his face with the Pinocchio nose growing, because he's a liar.
Yeah, that's certainly an idea. I do need to do something with it because it deserves more. The amount of work it had, it deserves more views. But that's my bad for not creating a good thumbnail.
Yeah. Still keeping it on the realms of space travel here. I posted a video a few moments ago. It's in there in the both Ball Blasters chat and the main chat. It's about this guy who did in Florida who lived under the water for 100 days. He mentors the preparation to Mars as part of the scientific research. Okay, it's quite interesting. It might infuriate you in places, but it's worth a watch. It's only like 20 minutes. Okay, for anyone who's interested. Guy spends 100 days underwater, breaking the record of 73 days prior to that one. It's all about he's living under pressure, 26 psi. We're living at 14. He's living at 26 under there. Interesting.
But you see,
yeah.
there's space traveling. You know, can you travel any other way with no space? I mean, it's
Well, yeah,
nonsensical,
very
all
true,
these
very
claims.
true.
It's
We're always
all these
traveling
claims is
through space
nonsensical.
anyway, yeah. Deep space. Supposed deep
But
space.
isn't that different pressure?
Mars.
Like below, like
200
when you go
days
down into
travel.
the ocean, is it a different type of pressure? Or is it the same as if you were going into outer space?
Well, he's living under the water, or has been living under the water at 26 pounds per 26 psi. That's what he was under there. Looking for medical cures. He's a biomedical scientist or something.
But if you're in the ocean, the pressure is coming against you, right?
Right.
So if you're in space, isn't it going away from you? Wouldn't it like blow
Well,
up
there's
or
nothing
something?
there. That's right. Yeah, it's the opposite. But they're talking about being in a spacecraft for 200 days to arrive at Mars. And the word they use here, when we go to Mars, since we're going to Mars, everything's in the affirmative. Nothing speculative there. That's a dead cert. We're going to Mars, right? And they were talking about what it would be like in the spaceship. This is part of the test preparation.
Well, Jin,
Oh.
why would it be speculative? There's a rover on Mars right now. I seen it on the television the other day. They sent back images from a rover on Mars.
But that's supposedly a robot. That's not
That
a
wasn't a
person.
rover. That was a forge.
Are they gonna, according to the idea of it,
ingenuity?
send
Was
people?
it ingenuity? Yeah.
Are they gonna be awake for 200 days, or are they put them into a cryo chamber, which would make it very easy to fool around with it?
Where is this all taking place again?
This is all taking place in a place, Florida, 22 feet underwater. That's all it is. In 100 square
where are they
foot.
going?
That's a great answer, Jin.
In a Hollywood basement.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
I have a good idea for a conspiracy to get started, just to mess with the anti-flat earthers. Start one that all the anti-flat earthers are controlled opposition to make the globe look bad because of how contradictory they are in all their statements. So they're actually working for the CIA, trying to push the flat earth with their stupidity.
Sort of like the Flat Earth Society?
Yeah, but you just take the negative side of it and say that, where we state that that is a controlled op because of the stupid things they say deter people away from flat earth. You take it from the globe side and say the anti-flat earthers are actually flat earthers because the stupid things they say are deterring people away from the globe.
How are you going to prove it's on
very
purpose,
plausible. Very plausible.
Yeah, but how are you going to prove that it's not just by accident?
You don't have to. That's the beauty of it. Just like the other side doesn't have to prove that absurdity. I mean, just get people to accept it. That's all you got to do. Then it's watch the laughs roll out.
I don't know. I think it would probably spread more around flat earthers than it would do anything to anti-flat earthers. That's what they already think about us.
Yeah, but Have you watched the video that Nathan stitched together of Matthew Learns yet?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, but that guy's just crazy.
Right. They all have that though. They all have, I'd say every single anti-flat earther, you could put a compilation together of them contradicting themselves over and over again.
Right. Well, they do seem to have upped the level of doublespeak, like in the last half year. That does seem to have happened because now they'll literally lay down. Multiple people have laid down how their conception is completely impossible, and then they don't oppose it with a counter argument. That's a new thing they do now. Really came forth with Keegan.
Curved is the new straight line. Bent is the new level. I mean, this is what's going on.
It's obvious, isn't it? Look at my horizon. I mean, my horizontal. Look how curved it is.
Bendizontal.
You know what I mean?
Look how level it is. Mm.
Yeah, it's curving level.
Yeah, that's right. It's crazy.
Nonsensical. It's been in our face all along, man.
You can't curve level though, because you wouldn't be able to get angle. Like eye level is what you pull angles from before you apply it in the celestial sphere. So you can't bend level or you destroy the model.
Absolutely. That's why it doesn't fit the Carta Marina. Because mariners, they know that longitude lines are lines that come from the GP of Polaris going outwards. And those lines, they need to be straight. They need to be horizontal lines, like north-south, east-west, the Cartesian system that we use. It requires the Earth to be flat and stationary in order for these things to work. That's why the contradiction with the globe model. No one uses anything based on a globe to navigate. It wouldn't work.
Another couple of tactics they use to dissuade you from your flat earthness is that they say you're not allowed to use your life's experience and the appeal to your qualifications. Are you a scientist? Are you a physicist? Do you have a certificate in this? They keep doing that, don't they? And you're not allowed to use the years you've been alive to compare with, but yet you've got to follow the science. Blindly following is what they want. You must not use your life experiences to make comparisons so you can make a coherent judgment of your environment. You're not allowed to do that. That's wrong.
I was just going to say, Jin, if anybody spent any time on the ocean, how could you still think that you're living on a spinning water ball?
It's true, isn't it? I agree. It's absolutely outrageous. It's so in your face, but yet you're blind and shut.
The best tricks are always done in plain sight.
Yeah.
Like if you was to scale, John, you might be good at this. If you could scale down humanity to fit on a basketball, do you think you could have cities and railroads and everything built on a ball? Is it logical at all? To me, it sounds like an impossibility.
It's impossible, isn't it? That's what I say. It debunks itself. The very shape debunks itself. The creator wouldn't have created something that ridiculous. Come on.
Well, the thing is,
even put the ball at the end of impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, John.
I was going to say, with the knowledge we have now, we can say that. But it's easy to see how you could confuse the horizon as being geometric if all you're ever doing is measuring an angle to it and charting that angle, right, based on your altitude. You could easily see how someone would say, oh, well, I'm not seeing the bottom half of that object in the distance. Therefore, it has to be blocked by something. And then when you chart that differential between two flat planes, but when you chart that differential, you start thinking, well, it's curving then. It's a really, really big curve, so that we're not perceiving it, right? Like when you zoom in on a part of a basketball and it looks flat, that one part, So I can see how they went wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah, but if when you zoom in on a basketball, it's still not nowhere flat.
That's right. It's not flat, exactly.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that. You have a straight line to the horizon, and they call it a tangent. Yeah, look at my tangent line. See?
Yeah.
A straight line to a curved line. So hold on a second. What is the curved line again? You just said it's a horizon. So you have a straight line to a horizontal. So no tangent then. But they still keep on this tangent, You need the curved line to meet a straight line to have a tangent.
I remember my childhood days where I used to play with angular resolution. I didn't know that's what I was doing. Didn't know those words because I'm going back to when I was about like 5 and 6 at my mother's kitchen counter and table, and you get the crumbs of bread and biscuit crumbs there. And when you're looking at it and you can see it when you're standing up, but as you drop down to the edge of that counter, things start disappearing from the distance of the other end of the counter. Now, I used to do that a lot as a kid. I remember myself doing that. That's why I bring that up a lot. Angular resolution. You see, now that's what they're talking about. That would be a curve. So the crumbs disappearing at the other end of the counter, that would be the curve, would it? When we know it, when it's clearly
angular,
not.
you say.
Yeah. It's just an angle, isn't it? Exactly. It's not the curve as such. And they know that. They actually know that. Say that again?
You're going to require a flat plane for your angular resolution.
Yeah, exactly. And they know that. They know that. That's why they say the ship is being blocked by the ocean. That's the curvature. But it's angular resolution. We know that, and they know that. But again, it's trickery.
Have you ever seen an angle measurement below zero?
No, I've never.
You guys,
Never.
you guys are just focusing on the high energy short distance problems that we experience.
And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Isn't rising upwards. How would we even be standing?
I think that's affirming the consequent. You'd have to write it down, and I'd have to look at it to say for sure. I'm not as quick on the jump as QE is with them.
Jin, you're causing a load of feedback. Please, can you mute?
Sorry, my apologies.
I did view that video, Jin. That was a great video. The rich man's trick. Excellent video.
Yeah, cheers for that. Yeah, I watched it a number of years ago, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I've got more of those if you want, anyway.
Jen, someone you recommended showed up here a couple of days ago.
Oh.
I can't remember the gentleman's
thanks a lot.
name.
I think he's with us now. His name's Kiwi, Johnny Kiwi. I think he's with us right now. Big shout out to Kiwi if he's here in the house.
Oh yeah, that was the guy that said he was going to go on mute, but he kept talking.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot to say as well, hasn't he? As a flat earther. So
He had high praises for
a
you.
lot to share.
I think, yeah, we're just kind of talking past each other a bit.
Well, I usually engage when I don't want to engage. That's how, but I make it clear that I don't want to engage as I engage.
It was not that guy's fault, though. Come on.
Who?
What wasn't
Child
his fault?
force?
Everything that transpired after and started going after 10th man raised the question. It started going off at the Easter Bunny.
Can I get a mic check, man?
I hear
Yeah,
you.
you're coming through,
Yeah, man, you
Johnny.
can
You're
have a
coming
mic
through,
check.
mate.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It was
Through.
actually Child Force, Jim. It wasn't me.
Child Force. Sorry, yeah. Child Force. Well, he's quite an intelligent individual, so he's now beginning to question his environment. Okay, he's asking all the right questions, and I put the integrity of his position, so he knows that he's got to have integrity, honesty, and honor in order to sort this out. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm still waiting for the mic check, though.
I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, man. Could hear you,
And
Joe.
Johnny.
Yeah. He said, "Can I do a mic check?" Okay, go ahead then.
Yeah, check it out. How long's it going to take? You like a cup of tea?
I think he was saying, though, that he's been a baller for 42 years. So it's going to take a lot
Gentlemen,
to
you've been
convince him.
promoted.
I think
Nice.
that's what I was hearing.
Well, yeah, that would be right. Yeah.
Stevie, can you activate push to talk?
You talking to me, Albino? Yeah.
Yeah. We're picking up everything. Your mic's picking up automatically, but there's an option to select push to talk
Oh,
that
my
you
TV. I'll
can't.
mute it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll turn it down. That better?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it push to talk or pull to talk?
Push to talk, I think. Huh?
Push, pull, whatever.
Free float.
No, it can't be free float because there's a pull. And if there's a pull towards the Earth, that's why we're grounded. That means Earth is accelerating upwards because I dropped a bottle filled with liquids and relative density disequilibrium did not stand true when I dropped that bottle. Didn't work. Therefore, Earth rising up. Got it?
Stop it, Neil.
If we were to go with that model of the Earth rising up, then everything we do has a v1 or a velocity 1 of that upward motion. So if you throw a ball, you have to add that upward vector to every force that you're exerting. I don't think a lot of calculations.
Model. Well, not a scientific model, though. Maybe a model for you to decorate the living room or something like that. That's the only model you're going to need it for.
And then
I'm just looking at it
the
completely
question is,
theoretically.
then if the Earth is moving upwards, like it's been suggested by those, is it the Flat Earth Society? How big is space then? Because I'm 61. That means for 61 years of my life, we've been going up continuously.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? Mad. That's madness.
It doesn't
No, it's not
NASA saying
madness.
that
It's
we're
called
constantly
growth.
falling?
It's
It's
not
called
that
growth.
extreme.
61. You're an old fart.
Doesn't NASA and all
Yes,
these
I'm a
scientists
youngish
claim that
old
we
fart.
are falling? Jin,
Somebody was
doesn't
over
NASA...
talking you.
Sorry, man. Can I just get this bit in? Doesn't NASA and the scientists claim that we're always falling down the way?
Yeah, that would be right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan!
Uh-oh.
Nathan! We're lost, man. What are we going to do?
Seek out Dell.
The navigator's not available right now.
Navigator's not available.
Number.
What's up, QE?
Sky?
No. That's not up. It appears up because we're accelerating up towards it.
No, you are.
Nah, we're drifting.
We're drifting. It's a steady climb. It's not really accelerating. Like a tide, you know,
Yeah,
how
it's
a
a
tide.
constant. It's a constant speed of 0.
Nathan! We got absentee landlord. Nathan!
Hey QE, I just wanted to say, man, I appreciated that conversation you was having on the FED Discord with that one person you was talking about science and stuff. I appreciated it. Kind of
What?
gave me a
Yes.
reification.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That was
yeah.
golden.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. Man.
Yeah,
That was,
it kind of spiraled during the end, but I had to leave, so I didn't really want to. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have commented. It just felt like,
Nah, you should have.
he just got-
You do.
I
I'm
don't know.
glad you
It's
did.
another...
I wasn't really bad. Holy shit.
Oh, John, did you get me unbanned on 24/7?
Yeah. Have you tried it?
No, not yet, but thanks. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
He said, Indio said that it might take a couple days. Just keep on trying and it should work. That's what he told me.
All right, excellent. Thanks.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to Nathan about that feeble storm he went live with yesterday.
We talked about it earlier.
You
It
did?
was that feeble?
Yeah, it was just
pretty
a
feeble.
bucket of water storm, like a summer storm.
Like a spring shower here in Missouri. But anyway, when he went live and the storm was over him, I said, let me check the radar over there in the UK. So I pulled up the radar and it just had a still photo and then I put it into motion. That's when I seen all the clouds and the thunderstorms were going from the southeast to northwest. And then I asked everyone, did the Earth suddenly change its rotational vector? Follow?
No, it's always going in a
Eat.
straight line. Storms always move in a straight line, don't you know?
That's not what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, you're implying that the direction that tornadoes and all that are
What happened to the east to
storms
west movement
move
on that
is
day?
because of Earth's spin. Yeah, not really.
It may be going from west to east. Yes. No? Okay.
Well, maybe the pressure was just so high that it overcame the Coriolis deviation. Just pressed so hard westward, you know.
Nathan!
Not biting, eh?
And with that.
He did mention that he's colorblind and he was working on some electrical connections. So don't panic, but he
That's
may have
funny. That's
just had a
funny.
shocking experience.
I think he's doing an experiment with the unicorns.
Right. Yeah, time does flow differently in Narnia, so that might be the reason. He just thinks he's just getting a coffee for like 1 minute, but then when he's back, it turns out to have been 10.
And when that happens, he will Back to the Future.
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, he's gonna follow up with the current conversation, so he's gonna be Back into the Future.
Okay.
Hey, Jane, how's the weather in Japan? Is climate changing there as well?
Probably wet over there at this time of the year, isn't it?
It's been raining. It's been raining for 36 hours straight through, and it's only just stopped momentarily now.
That's a problem, you know.
Weather, typical.
The weather needs to be it needs to be a constant, you know. Cannot have this climate changing all the time.
Yeah, so it's not unusual. I'll say that much. It's the normal.
Who's there?
Your sister.
Hey, QA, I posted a lovely video for you, Master B. Starts out great.
I missed most of the show. Was most of the show about Matthew learns? Because when I got by the time
Nothing
I
with
came in,
Matthew.
Nah.
oh, because when I came in, it was Jin talking about something, but I missed a lot of it.
Yeah, we talked about him briefly.
No. What show are we talking about? The one we just finished?
We talked mostly about the Earth being moving upwards.
Yeah,
Dell's
it was
claim.
mostly Nathan taking a piss out of Dell. That's what the show was mostly. So we were defending false dichotomies. Something like that. I think QE's lost in needs a navigator. Navigator not available. If this is an emergency, press 1. No, well, QE's not doing it right. He's got to yell, Nathan!
Nathan is AWOL at the moment. He's gone AWOL.
I'm actually back now. I've been back a while.
Did you not hear the boss calling you?
Boss? I'm not a boss, dude. Nathan!
Oh, that cracks me up.
I just like doing it.
Lost at sea.
Just the Nathan part. It sounds great. What's up, my good sir? Guy. Oh, this guy. Damn, I fell into it again.
Okay, I was talking about the feeble storm you went live with yesterday.
It
You're all
didn't do
giddy about.
didn't do justice on the video.
All right. But anyway, what I did was what I was telling these guys in here. I went on the UK radar, and it just had a still shot. And before I was going to click off it, and then I said, you know what? Let's put this in motion. Let's see where this is coming from. And I put it in motion, and the thunderstorms and all the clouds were coming southeast to northwest. And then it begs the question: did the Earth change its rotational vector?
I don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the rotational vector.
Ugh.
Obviously, as the ground was dropping away from us at 9.8 meters per second, it created an indifference in pressure. Obviously.
Oh,
Fair enough.
you guys, did any of you check that video I posted in Master V? Like, I just watched 2 minutes of that, and it was so unbelievably compacted with like, yeah, with fallacies. It was unbelievable. It's like they're upping the game again. You should check it out.
Did Adam get hit by that storm?
Hello?
You mean the bucket of water? I don't think it reached.
Adam! He even in here.
Yeah, he is in here. It's
How's
good job you
everyone?
can all be relied upon to keep the conversation
Brian.
going if I get a coffee or whatever.
Brian!
What's up, Brian?
Yes.
We're lost, man. What are we gonna do?
Someone needs to find out the height of the star.
Where's my tape measure?
I have 100-footer. Will that do?
I don't know if anybody saw what I had put up on the thing. I don't know if it's something called an astrolabe or. But anyway, it was a scene from some show, and there was this Muslim lady, and she was showing this um, Viking dude this ancient instrument, and it was something that it was used for celestial navigation. And she said some keywords, angles, and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty cool. I posted up on there. Y'all probably recognize it. It looked like one of the instruments that I think y'all were talking about the other day. That maybe 10th Man of Brian and Adam was talking about the other day. The many different instruments that were used before the sextant or as the sextant that may have predated today's contemporaneous sextant. But it's called an astrolabe, ASTROLADE, or astroblade or something like that. I don't know.
Astrolabe. Oh, man.
What it's called? Astrolabe, yeah. But once again, the
Contemporaneous.
girl said
$10,000 word.
contemporaneous, right?
That's a $10,000 word, boy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nah, but she was
Astrolabe is translated
she
as
said
the lips of the Astros, the reading of the Astros.
There was just a couple shows that people done on here. 10th was talking about the astrolabe. The astrolabe has been talked about since 2015. And you think it's something new or something?
No. I just said it was funny how I saw this show, a recent series of Viking Valhalla or whatever, and the lady was telling the guy who was supposed to be illiterate and whatever, and he said, "What is this?" And she broke it down, and I was like, "That's cool," because y'all were just talking about that. Not that this is the first time we ever talked about it, but it's funny how that showed up right after y'all were talking about that. And everything she said was about angle. Everything was angle.
So, in other words, she was proving a flat line.
Exactly. And it was just coincidence that I would catch that right after, maybe a day or two after y'all was speaking about the astrolabe.
Yeah, that happens. If you buy a Ford, you start seeing all Fords. Just coincidence.
There's a term for that. It's called synchronicity.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think if y'all wouldn't have spoke about astrolabes or anything like that, or if I was never in this whole setting, will I have seen that? I mean, I probably would have seen it, but it would have never connected the dots. I would have just
Right
overlooked
over
it. It
your
wouldn't
head.
have been a exactly.
It's just a
Exactly.
different instrument for you to pinpoint your position on the ground. But it still uses the same Cartesian system today that back in the day, you know, the same thing. It works the same way, lines of longitude and latitude. That's how it's mapped out. But the instruments as to which you obtain the information to pinpoint your position on the ground has been developed from the astrolabe to the sextant, to the bubble sextant, and so on.
So no matter what, you're utilizing a horizontal.
Exactly. Which, and that instrument could only be used on a flat plane. So that was a movie of the 11th, 12th, 13th century, even further back, pretty much implying that it was a flat plane. There was no spherical Earth. So the
So
ancients
you're
did
saying
know.
the Greeks.
Correct.
So you're
Even the
wait. So
coordinate
you're
system, isn't it? North, south, east, and west. Those are horizontal vectors. It's a plane.
come on. The Greeks all knew it was a sphere thousands of years ago.
Yeah, that contradicts all of our knowledge about it. That's how it manifests. That's how we interpret it. That's how it's measured. And even worse since 2020 with the black swan.
Yeah, the black swan pretty much ended everything, huh?
That might be the show tomorrow.
Nice.
I think I'm lined up for the Black Swan. It's going to be short. It's going to be much shorter than the original one was.
Well, let me ask the first question. Didn't that change the whole game when that black swan came out?
I don't know. What game?
You know, the whole thing that was happening, the flat Earth debate. It gave us a real upper hand, I believe.
Eh, well, I don't know about towards altards, but towards the can't fog a mere masses, just to show them that was the whole point. There was an ancillary point, so I put a Trojan horse in it, so I figured they'd take the bait. That was just more fun than anything else.
Yeah. And what's that? Bait refraction?
Yeah.
Well, they took the bait for sure. They're still taking the bait.
Well, what they're doing is they're taking the bait and then denying they have a hook in their mouth.
That's a good one. Are they denying getting reeled in and gutted too?
What the hell? Just the other day, I seen somebody. They didn't have my Black Swan, the one I used, the Black Swan photo. They had another one, it's a similar one. And their point was that the stands on the oil platforms weren't blocked. I was like, what the fuck? I don't know, dudes.
Was that a globe earther making the point that what?
No, it was definitely a flat earther. I just can't recall who it was.
So nothing about the horizon.
No.
Well, that's the best way to argue the shape of Earth, Neil, is to not talk about what they claim the shape of Earth is.
Sorry, I just can't remember who it was. It's just flashed in my mind.
Like if I wanted to prove to you something, say that Earth was the shape of a square, the best thing I could do is talk about everything but that.
Yeah, but the black swan image, what it proves to us is that the curvature of the Earth not only exists in the maths, it's below surface level. Because at surface level is not observable.
I'm sorry, say that again. I was temporarily detained. Go ahead. Say that one more time.
According with the maths, the curvature of the Earth exists only below surface level. And black swan shows that there is no curvature at surface level. There is no curvature.
Mass predict that the curvature is below surface level. What math is that?
The Earth curve calculator. It's got a straight horizontal parallel line to eye level called ground level in the mathematics.
I'm still not getting it. Where's the maths?
The Earth curve or the geometry of it. But the line they draw goes through the surface level to the horizon.
Goes through the surface level or touches the surface level?
It goes, that's where their tangent point is that
So
they're pointing.
All right, they got a tangent. And then what happens?
Their tangent point, they're claiming, is below surface level.
Their tangent point is below surface? Then is the horizon below surface level?
No, that's surface level meets the sky is how you would define it. So no.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm lost.
Well, I mean, it's not my math. It's not my geometry. It's not my claim. I'm just saying that within their own geometric claim, they have ground level running parallel to eye level as two flat planes, and they draw a line through surface level to a point below the surface. They call a tangent point.
I'm still
It's
not
below
getting
the
it.
surface of the globe, but it's still parallel to the observer's plane of view.
I'm not following. You need to put up a diagram or something so I can see it.
I just
Well, every
posted
time
on the text chat on Discord.
All right, thanks,
There's a
George. I'm looking at
diagram.
it. Looks like Nick West.
Yeah,
Mick
correct.
West,
So there is
he's
a
got a good one.
surface level line. Yeah. So the curvature of the Earth is happening below that surface level. The black swan shows that there is no curvature because it's aiming at surface level, isn't it? The horizon. So there is no curvature at surface level.
Well, I think now I know what you're talking about. I think he was saying that what we're seeing is what's coming to us from beyond the curve, and whatever's hidden is hidden beyond the curve. So I mentioned that if you're kind of taking the curve as red, then you must accept that on a globe, this structure on a different part of the plane would be a plane not parallel to the observer's view, aka its true zenith on a globe is not parallel to the zenith on the observer on the shore. Therefore, you'd see it tilted if you're not going to bring refraction into it. If the lights are coming to you straight up from the thing, from beyond the curve, and you're saying there's a curve, then you must be looking at a tilted image.
Yeah, but this diagram show us how the magic trick is done. It's the Earth curvature is the differential between those two level lines, surface level and eye level. So the differential between one and the other gives you the curvature of the Earth. And higher you go or lower you go, that radius of that differential will be different, will differ. But you can never have greater than, can you?
I'm not sure
Again, we're
how that
talking about the
pertains to the
circle.
argument, but okay.
There is no sphere in here in this math. It's it's just a differential between one level and another level, and you have a radius for a circle. No
I,
way it
I
turns into a sphere.
I didn't eat
So
breakfast
those
yet.
planes
Maybe I
would be
need to eat
parallel.
breakfast, but holy shit. Maybe I need to eat breakfast, but from what this diagram's showing me, I'm not seeing any maths. Number two, it had nothing to do with the point that people were trying to make. So the line is going from the viewer through or to the surface at the horizon.
No,
See,
he's
their
just saying whatever's
horizon.
below the horizon. He's conceding that whatever's below the horizon, using whatever calculator, he says that okay, we won't see this much of it. 5 meters of it is invisible. Okay, that's fine. But then we must concede that if you are seeing this on a globe and you are getting a glimpse beyond the curve, then number one, that structure would then be at an angle towards you because it has to be perpendicular to the ground that it's on. Therefore, it is not perpendicular to the ground that you're on because you're on the
Yeah, but
other side of the curve. Number two, if you can see that far, then you must be able to see that wide. And if you see that wide, then you must be able to see the curve, which you don't.
But
Of
hold
course,
on.
all of
according
it.
with that diagram, yeah, the horizon is below surface level. That's not what we observe. The
That's
horizon must be surface
horizon. That's
level.
just the horizon, the
Yeah,
artificial
look at the
horizon
horizon line marked with the
that is
X, yeah?
parallel to the
That
plane
horizon,
of the viewer. I don't even know if we're talking about the same thing.
yeah, that horizon, that cross that marks the horizon is below surface level. That is not observable anywhere.
Why don't you let John I think John was the guy that was supposedly the champion for this. Can you let him speak?
Well,
You
in
mean
the Earth
Kiwi?
curve calculator, in the Earth curve calculator, they say it's 1.22 times the observer's height in feet will give you the angle because you're measuring an angle. Hold on, you're measuring an angle between eye level and where surface level appears to meet the sky. That's all you're doing, and they will recognize that and tell you that's what they're doing. That's why you have the two lines in that diagram.
What two lines?
Eye level and surface, the two flat straight lines, eye level and surface level.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. But now when those points underneath it, if you look at an arc of
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Never mind. I got you now. Because I'm looking down at the horizon and the Sagitta, the bulge. I didn't follow what you were saying. So you're saying eye level and then surface level, and then everything else is beneath the surface level, the horizon. I follow what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
it's
pretty
nutty.
funny.
Yeah, it's nutty when you look at it. It's like who actually believes that,
You know what? I never looked at
That's
that.
what I asked him if he was looking at it through a suspended disbelief because when a glober comes to it through no fault of their own, the programming is so strong that you'll do all kinds of mental gymnastics to explain something that could be easily explained on a flat plane. But I give them the benefit of the doubt because that's what science is, right? Don't take anything for granted. Don't leave any stone
No,
unturned.
that's not what
But
science
at the
is.
end of
No,
that,
this isn't science anyway. No. This isn't science, and no, that's not what they do in science. No. So back to the
no,
island. John, I've never looked at this before. Right? I'm always looking at the horizon, like I was saying, the Sagitta, the hidden stuff. I never looked up and saw the surface level and the eye level. That's pretty funny.
It is, but it's the schematics or diagrams that they'll show you are dependent upon that, so they can't leave it out. It'll always be there.
Okay, which one's the eye of the camera? Is it the black dot or the red dot? And The red dots are
Yeah.
draggable.
They have the horizon marked with an X below surface level. That's a big problem.
Yeah,
Hey,
you're
Kiwi.
right. That's pretty
Hey,
funny.
hey, Kiwi, can you explain to
Those
Bound
are
Black?
light rays, actually. Those are the tracing the light traveling from the object to the eye of the observer.
Yes, bro.
So, John, that
Hey,
was your
Kiwi.
entire point. What?
I don't
What?
I
know.
didn't.
I mean, hey, on behalf of Albino Black Sheep, I think you kind of caught her off guard when you corrected her about it's not science and that's not what they're doing, because this is not science what we're doing. This is, this is measurement, geometry, and everything. Could you explain to her? Because she's saying, no, don't leave a stone unturned. This is science. That's why she gives them the benefit of the doubt for why they're doing what they're doing. Could you clarify that so there's nobody
I don't know how to. I don't know
misunderstanding?
how else to clarify it. It's geometry is geometry. This is, if you want to call this that we're looking at geometry, well then you can have at it. They're attempting geometry. How about that? But
Right. But
geometry
they're
is
not
not
doing
science.
science.
Zeros, I wasn't mistaken about that. What he was discussing was pertaining solely to the field of optics, because we had, in our own conversation, we had said, okay, let's leave refraction out of it and let's just presume it's a globe so that we can destroy it. And to me, that's, for me personally, when my understanding of science is go into it with no bias, observe what you observe, try and, I don't know, divorce yourself from ego and just look at it really. And through when he tried to get at it through the field of optics, that's when he said, I don't know, light is weird. And that's when I said, well, if the science that we have is so advanced that is able to tell us the distance to the sun, but it is not advanced enough, and its answer to this question is, oh, light is weird. And that's why when I realized, wow, you can't really go into these conversations expecting anybody to be satisfied with a scientific answer. They will
I can't
always
What's
unpack
seek
the
to
all
cause
that.
of this
justify
then?
their
Somebody
own
else.
ego.
Could somebody else unpack that? Because I haven't ate breakfast yet, and that's a colossal, convoluted bunch of nonsense.
I'll give it a shot
All
because I
I'm,
think I know what she's
all I'm
talking
Okay,
about.
saying is the
that is a
science that
claim
him
with
and I
science and
were
distance,
doing.
yeah?
Can I simplify it so that nothing gets lost in translation? Also, English isn't my first, so please bear with me. But all I'm saying is we weren't even looking at it from any geometrical point of view. We had left geometry, said, okay, let's take these parameters of geometry out of it and just look at what the light is doing. And that's when everything fell short, because according to him, light is weird. I don't know. And that was his justification when in his mind, he could sleep at night saying, okay, I've solved that in favor of the globe for myself. I don't know. Does that make sense, Kiwi?
Lost. But that's okay.
Can I just,
Not a
Yeah.
I think the
It's not
science
can I
wasn't
science.
just add
geometry.
some
The
clarity
science in
here?
Not.
question wasn't geometry. Then maybe we should, before this, kind of clarify what science is, because in his mind, he's doing the calculations and he's resorting to the principles which are prevalent in the scientific community. In my view, he was doing his best and he was intellectually honest, and his bias did come into it because he was trying to prove a globe. But I have no problem with that. As I say, I look at it like a court of law. If a guy says I didn't kill my wife, I always say, okay, let's say he's innocent, and then I work from that point, and then every inconsistency in his behavior, in his timeline, and whatever, then I can get
Good.
him. But if I go at a point to say,
That's
oh,
not
he's
science.
guilty, I
That
can't prove
that's not
anything. I can
science.
only disprove his narrative. And that's
Yeah,
how
but
I
science is
personally
not
Okay.
maths. It's
Cool.
two
One
different
second. One
things.
second. Can I hang on? I have to stop this. I have to stop this. I can't listen to anymore. I can't do this. That's not science. Optics is not
Thank you.
science
Thank you.
either. Right. Hang on, D. Hang on. Right.
in the
Right.
observable
Hang
world
on.
of
Hang
optics
on.
that give us like glasses and stuff, that's not
No, they're
science.
not
Then
science.
I
No,
must
that's
be
not
grossly
science. It's
mistaken.
optics,
Okay.
not science. That's not natural science. Natural science is a naturally observed effects in the natural world, and we looking to find the natural cause of those effects. That's science. What you're talking about is optics. It's different. When you're talking about refraction concerning the globe, there is none. What they claim is not refraction. They try and hijack
Yeah, that's why I
refraction.
said we took it out
What
of
they're
that
claiming is
equation. We took
mathematical.
refraction out of it.
Hang on,
Maybe you need to go look at our conversation.
Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. What they're claiming, right? What the globers are claiming is not refraction. They're trying to hijack refraction. What they're actually claiming is mathematical only. It's not refraction. So when they bring up refraction and they start talking about inferior mirage or whatever else they want to start talking about, know that when they want to use the term refraction to explain away something within their model, then they're not talking about actual refraction. They're going to give you the impression that they're one second. They're going to give you the impression that they're talking about refraction, but then they're going to switch it in mid-conversation without you knowing, and they're going to start talking about a mathematical claim that they have that's based on a radius measurement that never happened. There is no refraction. There's no globe refraction that over 6R, 7 over 6R, 10 over 6R, whatever rubbish they want to come up with, that's not real. It's not refraction, it's maths. I show it in my videos. If you want to see them, you can go to one of my latest videos. I do a thing about a 700-mile observation that happened, and I showed you what the globe response is, and I show what their refraction is claimed to be, and you'll see it there. That's important. Don't ever get fooled by them when they want to talk about refraction. They don't have any. I'm finished.
Absolutely. And that's why I said, if you look at my conversation with him, we both of us agreed to take refraction completely out of it. And then just look at other parameters and see if we can come to a conclusion about them. I'm just looking at it really, just trying
About what observation? What was observed? What's the observation you're talking about? When you say you're talking about with somebody and you both agreed to take refraction out of it, I don't know what that's about. What is it you're referring to? What are you both looking at that you're both arguing about?
Well, so we were looking at the picture of the rigs, and we said, okay, let's take refraction out of it, even because I'm pretty uneducated about that.
There's nothing to argue about.
I said,
there's nothing to argue about. The horizon is behind the two oil rigs. So the horizon is not geometric. The Earth is not a globe. It's that simple. You don't go past that. If they want to talk about refraction, then they're also claiming that the horizon is not geometric, which means it's not geometric. There is no globe because there's no geometry. They can't measure a radius if they don't even have a geometric, which would be a physical horizon. They're literally admitting within their own maths that the horizon is not physical. So nothing can sail over it. Do you understand? You can't use it for measurement. It can't be used for anything within their world. So if someone wants to have a conversation with you about why the horizon is behind the two oil rigs, because it's not a globe. That's the answer. There is no need to argue about anything else, optics, the oil rigs, the bendy cranes, none of that. All that matters is that the horizon is not 1.225 miles away from the observer, where it has to be if we live on a globe. If it's any further than that, it's not a globe. It's literally that simple. Right. And the horizon, don't go into they want to have conversation with you and give you the impression they're nice guys. They're not. The predators. Don't trust any of them, ever. Right? If they want to have a conversation,
give them more than they deserve. I always go toe to toe with people. I mean, I never have any dog in the fight. I'm honestly doing my best to look at the truth completely as objectively as any human being could, and to just because I'm kind of familiar with the quote unquote science that they kind of grasp to, I try to kind of destroy that lifeline. Not destroy that lifeline, but just show the inadequacies of that, in which we were able to, because at the end this person had to kind of concede that I don't completely know what's going on there. Light is weird and it behaves weirdly.
Yeah, but you miss what's happening there. they're talking about how light is weird and they don't know how light is after doing this. They're still trying to claim it's a globe. No,
Exactly.
if they're talking about light
Yeah.
or the horizon being refracted or anything else, it means it's not a globe because it's not
But
geometric.
that
It
was
has to be
only that.
geometric
But that was
on a
his
globe.
thing. That was that was his Black Swan destroyer, and I hope that if he's listening, he knows that I have no ill will against anyone. But that was kind of like in his mind, he was gonna be able to tell himself, okay, I've looked at it objectively, and now I can go to bed at night saying that I looked at it and I proved the globe to myself. But that's what I'm saying, like.
No, the
They have these
geometry for the
lifelines that help them cling to the globe, and I want to destroy those lifelines, not for
give
them
me a
to
second, and
summit to
I point
success.
out the problem. Give me a second. Listen to me a second. The geometry that they need to even make the claim that the horizon is refracted requires the horizon to be geometric. So the refracted horizon they're claiming stops them from ever having the geometry they would need to claim it. You understand?
Oh yes, Brian.
They can't talk about refraction when it's based on a geometry that they can't measure and never existed. So that's the problem. So when they start talking about refraction, you won. It's over. You've won. Because it means
Yeah, we have to
they're
stop the
admitting it's not
conversation
geometric.
there. Right.
It's over. You won once they mentioned that.
I guess I kind of get not sucked into, but like I feel like if someone brings up something that they believe is valid and then it gets ignored, in their mind they get to say, "Oh, I won." I had so many. Well, I've been in this 8 years. I don't want to say that I'm I'm well versed, but I've had discussions with people where they kind of, when they were brought up a point that was valid and it went unanswered, they feel like, oh, I got this flurf, I wrecked him, and I'm saying, like, you didn't wreck me, bro. I just realized that we're never going to come to an understand. So, we should always address, not saying we should, but I personally always try to address those points so that they don't feel like, oh, these flurfs don't even want to hear us out, blah, blah, blah. They're intransigent or whatever.
Nothing to hear with the Black Swan. It's game, set, match. Just the way Brian explained it. Once they say refraction, it's over. They're done.
So I have
Yeah,
an
do
easy
you
way
not
to
see that-
explain it if you don't mind.
1 second. Just who's this? What you want to explain?
The refraction.
What refraction?
Anyway, well, just what
What
we're talking about.
refraction? Which
So, well,
refraction?
refraction means distortion, right? So
No.
when
No,
we're
not
when they're
necessarily.
saying that
No,
the
it
Hold on
means
one
horizon,
second,
deviated
Duncan.
from
Sorry,
straight.
Duncan. Sorry, just 1 sec. The reason Brian's asking you to clarify which refraction is because you've got two types. Globe refraction, 7/6 or whatever derivative of an R value, and only exists in maths in orthographic view. Refraction is something else. So he's just asking which one you're
well,
talking
I guess
about.
I mean I guess I mean the actual term refraction, what it really means, without considering, the made up globe part, the standard refraction.
Well, that would be the refraction is a deviated from straight. It requires two mediums.
So when we're talking about real refraction, not standard refraction, we're talking about it being distorted.
Well, what you call standard refraction or terrestrial refraction is not refraction. It's only mathematical. That doesn't exist. It's based on an
Right.
R value that was never measured. You understand? The maths are based on an R value that was never measured, and they couldn't measure it because of the claim that the horizon is refracted. If the horizon is always refracted, then the geometry can never be measured. Consequently, the claim of refraction is also dissipated because you can't have refraction that's based on an R value that you can't measure.
So when they're saying that the horizon is fracted and they're claiming standard refraction, are they saying that the horizon is not where it appears to be?
No, when they're claiming standard refraction, they're trying to get you to talk to them about refraction, as opposed to pointing out that when they're claiming refraction, they're also admitting that the horizon is not geometric. If the horizon is not geometric, then any claim they make concerning refraction after that means absolutely nothing, because they don't have any geometry to base their refraction on. You can't base refraction calculations on something that doesn't exist. You understand? When you talk to them about refraction, or I talk to someone about refraction involving the black swan, right, you're having a conversation for nothing. There's nothing to talk about, because refraction has nothing to do with geometry. Geometry is physical measurement, something that doesn't exist for the globe, because the horizon is not a physical location. That is the end of that. And I don't mean to be too harsh or whatever, or I don't want to come across as arrogant. It's just, they are the hard facts. If you can't measure something, then how can you base something else off of that measurement that you can't get? You know what I mean? So if I say, oh, the horizon's refracted, and I'm a glober, that means I'm saying it's not geometric then. So how did you get the refraction calculations if you don't have a measurement? And nothing. You can't have one without the other. It's delta x.
That's
X
when they
is the measurement. That doesn't exist. So you can have a delta of x that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got them caught
That's
in a
when they need
circle with
no
their feet.
Atmo day.
Sorry?
That's when they need no Atmo day.
Well, you see, there you go. When they come up with no, because that's what they're claiming. Oh, we need no Atmo day to measure it. Well, you don't have anything in. You don't have a measurement. Like the measurement is x. Right. The measurement is x. Their refraction claim is delta x. So how can you have a delta of an x that doesn't exist? Can it?
Why don't you explain to me what a horizon is, Brian? Just break that down. What is the horizon?
The apparent juncture between Earth and sky.
So it's an optical phenomenon, correct?
Yes, an optical phenomenon.
Thank you. Not geometric. Game over.
Yeah.
I guess what I was saying
So
earlier
it
was about the
changes.
science part. Didn't clarify that there wasn't science. Even if you robotics, all that advanced technology,
I didn't even
all that
realize what I was doing.
optic advanced equipment is not science.
Well, what is science?
The establishment of cause and effect reasoning based on systematic experimentation after observing phenomena.
Okay, there's your answer right there, D-Rose.
No, I didn't need the answer. I'm thank you. I was going to answer, but thank you, Nathan. And what she and that guy was doing was not science, basically.
Yes, it
What were
was.
they observing?
That's all they were doing was observing.
I don't know. Yes, it was from albino black sheep.
What my view of it is,
No.
maybe as you say, it's an observation of the natural world. To me, everything is the natural world, unless it's completely contrived or intangible and has to be reified via some crap method. But for us, we were talking within the laws, the established laws of something. Yeah, it wasn't, we were like, if I can say, playing in an enclosed system of our own things and trying to see if those laws would then be consistent with the photo that we were looking at.
But that's definitely
Many
not.
might disagree with it. Many might say it's an exercise in futility. But for us, the fact that we were trying not to bring any bias into it and we're abiding by laws, whether they were contrived or they were bullshit crap or whatever they were, we were abiding by those. To me, that's kind of like we were trying to be intellectually honest. We were trying to just really get at the truth based on what we had been taught. And because I had been on his side previously, I was trying to get at it from his side. And at the end of it, I got him to admit that he really did not know what was happening with the light and how those rays were reaching his eyes. And
They're
to be
not
honest,
talking businesses. You're not going to go there to
Okay, everyone
conduct
stop.
business.
Everyone
You're gonna
stop.
go there
Okay.
to buy a fucking
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you.
Now you're done.
Hello. Yeah, but you asserted that it was science.
I said, what I just heard about science being just observation of the natural world. Well, this was our little natural world that we were trying to apply the laws
I got
that
all that.
he
Okay,
had
thank you.
come
I
to
don't
know
need
as
it again. Okay. Okay. So you're under the impression
Nathan,
because
you don't take that tone with me. I'm just trying to clarify.
I know,
I
but I
can
got
mute
it.
and
I
I'm
got
done.
it the first time. Thank you. But that's not science. Because if you're going to assert that because you've dealt with the natural world that it's science, then that's a composition fallacy. Because it's not just the observation. There's more to it than that. If you're going to call it science and have it be accurate as science, then you're going to establish the cause of a natural phenomena observed in nature. That's science.
Okay, that was our natural world. That picture was what we had of the natural world. But I'm done.
No,
No.
well, no. Nathan was trying to explain to you.
Guys, hello.
Observation is just one
Who
part.
is that? No.
It's
That
me,
isn't.
Nathan.
Well, thank you. No, science starts with the observation of a phenomena, something occurring in nature. That's step one.
Well, that picture or that video was what we had as our representation of nature.
I see. And was the observation of the video a phenomena occurring in nature?
That we were able to see despite the stuff that we were told that this thing would be behind the curve, it wasn't. That was our observation. We're observing something. Right? We're looking at a swan that's black. And we're coming to each other saying, hey, is this a
I'm
swan
sorry.
Hello, for
painted
God's
enough?
sake,
Or
second
is
time I've had to talk.
It's a yes or no
I'm
question.
sorry, I can't do
I
this.
want to hear the end of her statement. Thank you.
Of a yes or no question.
Yeah, then I'll point out that it was a yes or no question, yes.
Okay, fine.
Oh, sorry, you want me to go? So yeah, so that was it. For us, let's say that we came upon a black swan. We'd only seen white swans in our lives. Science had told us they're all white due to genetics or whatever. And we saw, hey, did someone paint this swan? Did this swan come from somewhere else?
Okay.
Let's look at, that's all we were doing. If that's not science, then I've been wrong and I apologize. And maybe I need to go look at what other people believe science is.
Not about
I'm just
belief.
trying to say that for us,
Okay,
we
I
were both
heard.
being,
I got you. For
oh
you,
my
it's
God.
about looking at a photo. I got it the first 2 times. I don't need it a third. Thank you. It's
You
not.
asked me to complete my sentence, Nathan. That's all I was doing.
So have you got anything more to add than you were studying a photo and the fact that something that you saw in a photo wasn't hidden by Earth curve, therefore you could just see something, correct? Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything?
I'm sorry, can you say again?
You were looking at an image of something, and then your assertion is that the image should have been, but wasn't, blocked by Earth curvature. Have I missed anything?
I thought I was addressing the point of view that said that's not science, and I just was saying that was our slice of a natural world.
Stop! Love of God!
What?
Did I miss
Nathan,
anything
please
in your
listen to me.
assertion? I understand the subject matter is whether or not this is science. You don't need to reiterate that to me. I'm trying to lead you to understand what science is. Currently, you do not, and I do. I understand you think this is science. I understand what you've described, and I've now parroted it back to you because you keep saying you need to repeat it when I stop you giving the same thing a third time. So, given that you've given it me 2.5 times, have I missed anything? That's a yes or no question. Did I miss anything in your claim that you looked at a photo, whoever that is, and saw something that should have, according to you, been behind Earth curve? Is there anything else?
You've missed the fact that I never said anything should have been behind an Earth curve.
I did. I caught that bit. You did. You
Because in
asserted
that
that.
photo, it wasn't.
Was there, but would have been behind Earth curve according to the paradigm. I
Then
did
I
get
must
that.
have
That's what you
misspoke.
said.
Then I must have misspoke. His assertion
Regardless,
was,
did I miss anything?
Just say
I
no.
can't answer a question that I don't know what you're asking.
Did I miss any information in regards to what we will critique as science or not? We're going to establish whether or not looking at a photo and deciding whether or not Earth curve's in the way is science or not. That's what we're doing, so I need to know if there's more information because you keep objecting when you start repeating the same thing.
Then please lead me to where.
I'm trying.
Sorry,
I'm really trying. Is there anything
Then please
else?
take
Is
me
there
to
any
where
more
you didn't
information?
miss anything. Please lead me to where you want this to go, please.
Okay, I'll try a fourth time. Is there any
May I
more?
make a suggestion, Nathan?
You could stop
Can she write it
interrupting.
down?
No, you don't need. Do I sound like I need a suggestion? Whoever that is. No, thank you. Thank you. No, my question is really clear. You've given me the information about looking at the image and what you were going to decide was or wasn't going to be there as a result, and the discussion about the light surrounding the image. I've got all of the information. Unless you now say, no, there's something else alongside that that would make it science. Is there or isn't there? Okay, can I assume there's no more information to add so I can now critique whether or not that's science? Brilliant. Thank you. Rhetorical. Science starts with a natural phenomena. Now, a phenomena is something happening. Now, let's say for the sake of argument, this image is of a clock that should be, according to a fundamentalist religious zealot belief and an earth curve mathematics with a geometric horizon we debunked in 2020, is blocked but not blocked, according to those maths. So therefore, what are we looking at in the image? A picture of a clock. Okay. Is a picture of a clock a phenomena, something happening? Answer, no. Ergo, this fails to meet the first step of the scientific method, observe natural phenomena. A photo of something, regardless of a fundamentalist zealot's claim that there should be a bloody hill in the way, when there isn't, is irrelevant. You're just looking at a picture of something. Doesn't mean anything, it's not a phenomena. Therefore, not science. Not even open to scientific inquiry or discussion. So your discussions, while they may have seemed scientific because you weren't introducing any external whatevers, isn't, because it's not the assertion of cause and effect based on phenomena and your presumed cause thereof.
Wouldn't we were just discussing the observation itself.
Yeah, that's
We
perfectly
were
fine.
discussing the fact that light rays reaching our eyeballs. How are these light rays reaching our eyeballs? Let's try it in the flat way.
But
Let's try it in the
that's
globe
a
way.
how.
Now, if both of
Okay,
us were on that
I got it.
shore,
I got it.
would that
I
not
got
be
it.
an
I got it. I got it the
observation?
first 3 times now. I've got it a fourth. Yes, the light going to your eyes. That's a how-why question, not a cause and effect question. Science exclusively deals with cause and effect.
The cause and effect in this situation, I guess, would be the light caused us to see these rigs.
Did it?
Where one assertion, okay, I'm not going to repeat because I don't want to be yelled at anymore.
Yeah, but that's because it's tiring when someone doesn't understand what science is but wants to believe that because they've had an intellectual discussion about something that it makes it scientific, when it isn't. First step is observe natural phenomena. So if there's no phenomena, you're getting yelled at because you're interrupting. Right? I'm trying to explain to you what science is. It starts by seeing something happen.
For example?
Men come back from sea dying.
Okay, well then we're on different.
No, that's just
tangents.
science. That's what science is. The phenomena would be men coming back from sea dying. That's the phenomena.
So what makes a phenomena? Something that
Happens.
was not expected, something that was expected.
Just something happening. Something happening. Unlike a picture, nothing's happening.
Well, what I observe in that picture happening is
It's fascinating and not science. That's the only point of this discussion. Whether or not what you did was science, it is not. So I don't want you to labour what you did, fascinating though it may be, when the only point we are trying to labour is this isn't science. So earlier when you were describing how science has misled us, I didn't interrupt, but felt the need to say, does she mean pseudoscience, the alleged claims of science that don't have any science attached to them?
Nathan, I even put it on quote unquote, and I even, if I don't, I usually say scientism, but I thought I was among friends, and when I said that, and when I said his science, that would be clear. My apologies.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
So,
you meanie.
That's fine. So what is science then? Do you know, to define things that aren't science, what is science? So you know what isn't.
Well, I feel like I have trouble defining what phenomena are, for instance.
That's fine. But in order to say that's scientism, for the sake of argument, would you not agree that you'd need to know what science is to declare that that isn't it?
Oh, of course, yes, of
Sure.
course.
So it's an important distinguishment that we want to labour to the audience, and it's useful to have this conversation. So while it might appear that I'm frustrated with you, I'm not. It's useful for the audience for you to express your ideas about what science is. Well, we've had a discussion about an image and how the light works, and as we discussed them, we didn't bring any external factors into it, just how the light works. So this was a scientific discussion. Absolutely not.
I hear you, Nathan. I completely hear you. And
Can I give an
I
example
guess I
in my
can.
head?
Not yet, Brian.
Hey,
There's
Nathan,
there's three people
Yinnigan's
waiting.
down here at the
No. Just albino sheep. Thank you.
Yinnigan's account.
Oh my God, D-Rose. Go ahead, albino black sheep. Or don't. It's entirely up to you.
Sorry, I cut out.
No, go ahead. If there's nothing else to add, that's fine.
I'm just sorry. You just all cut out for 1 second. Did you address me?
I was just saying, is there anything else? Or did you want to add any closing points?
Yeah, I guess maybe I got a little too into it, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to say that when I find myself arguing these points, to me, the fact that it always goes back to, well, light is weird, well, this is that, that is that. It always comes back to what you deep down believe. So if you can't prove something for 100% certainty, it's gonna be just what you end up believing. Just like as I was saying in the court case, like the evidence is there, but at the end of the day, because we're not there, maybe we can't say. So I'm just saying, like, if anybody ever finds themselves doing this, just know when to pull out and know that if they don't have the context of all these institutions lying to them, if they don't have the context of other deceptions, if they don't know what ancient schools are involved in the structure of science or scientism today, if they don't know that, they usually revert back to their programming. So if you ever find yourself talking to someone and they don't have that context, don't be like me and go at it at a thing, because at the end of the day, they're gonna say, oh, light is weird or this is that, and go back to their original belief. And I guess that's what I was trying to get at, but sorry I took so
You don't
much
have to
time.
apologise. You said about it's based on belief, unless you can prove things. First and foremost, do you think that's possible? Can things be proven?
Yeah, we can get to 99.9% of certainty with things because our bias is always gonna come into it, right?
No.
No.
Maybe just by the act of observing, we've changed things.
No.
But okay, let's say for the sake of this argument, yes, I believe things can be proven. Yes.
Okay, how would one go about doing that?
Well, we first have to have some solid foundations on which we can all agree on. If we're starting off on the wrong foot and certain people, for example, if people think gravity is real, then I can't really argue with them, can I?
Yep.
So we have to have those solid
Yeah,
foundations.
you can. So what's the housekeeping question we asked Daly in regards to gravity? Do you remember?
I was tardy to the party, I believe.
It's asked almost daily. Can you remember any scientific evidence of gravity?
Oh, is it that it was first the law of attraction as opposed by Newton and then supplanted by the gravitational force field by Einstein?
And that's scientific evidence, is it?
I don't know the housekeeping question.
Is that scientific evidence or not?
In my view, not, but there's a person here who says that they've done the Will Cavendish experiment themselves.
You don't, okay, in your view, we're dealing with things that are very much set in stone here, so it's probably not best to start. In my view, probably not. Why not? Do you know why it isn't? Not in your view, just is it or isn't it?
I'm sorry. Can you say again?
Is it scientific evidence? You've just explained mass attracting mass and presumably a little bit of 4D space-time bending. Fine. Is that scientific evidence? If you presented that and you said you couldn't overcome it, or is it scientific evidence?
Objectively, it is not.
Why not?
Because I need a replicatable experiment
Perfect.
that excludes all other hypotheses to the benefit of its conclusion.
Perfect.
So when someone comes and tells me I've done the Will Cavendish experiment and I can replicate it, I need to see this.
You're doing really well until you went to a pseudoscience experiment that isn't an experiment. So you were doing well up until that point.
I know that, and you know that, Nathan. But if I'm talking to someone and I'm trying to find a middle ground,
There is no middle ground here. Science proves things. This is the point. So if you have scientific evidence, the reason we ask for it isn't just because they claim they've got science for it. It's because if they have got scientific evidence, they have empirically proved their cause and effect relationship. Empirically isn't 99.9%. It's beyond certitude, empirical. And that is provided by an experiment based on, as you correctly identified, a hypothesis. So, given you used the word, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, I hope I'm putting a wry smile on so you don't feel in any way threatened. What's a hypothesis?
because it's something you arrive at based on an observation, but that you take as read as an axiom, and then you experiment. But if the hypothesis is proven, doesn't mean that it is the only possibility.
You're going off in the weeds. Just what is a hypothesis? Yeah, what's a hypothesis?
To be honest, I can't explain any
That's
better
fine.
than that.
Just say that then. Then we can move on quicker. Yeah, just you don't know is fine. You don't know. That's fine. Yeah. A hypothesis establishes the naturally observed phenomena and the cause you assume of that effect. So that's what a hypothesis is. It is the cause and the effect in one statement. So a phenomena is known in a hypothesis.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Oh, I said yeah, because I thought that's what I had said. You make an observation, you come up with an axiom
Black sheep.
that is
Okay,
the
no
best
worries.
explanation.
Okay,
for
let's
that
just start there then. Step one, step one, according to you, is that make an observation. I'm looking at a table. We're starting with an observation, are we not? Like you just declared correctly. So we're going to science the table because that's an observation, isn't it? Like you said.
No, because you
No,
said
so
a
can I
phenomenon.
tell you rather than you nodding along when you don't know? Is that possible?
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah?
not.
Do you think you could just
This is
listen rather
something
than
that
nod
I
in with
don't
yes?
understand.
You don't
I
know
said
the
I'm gonna
answer to
shut
this
up
stuff.
and let you explain. But if you want me to be involved in this, then let me understand. Just a
But you
table
don't.
to me isn't
You're
isn't a cause
interjecting
and
when you don't know.
I'm
You just
sorry.
said yes and then waffled off about phenomena. No, about observation, which is wrong. I'm trying to tell you, but you're interjecting by going, yeah, okay, well, off you go then if you know. Well, immediately you're wrong. So I'd prefer to just tell you so that you understand why, after 8 years of doing this, we ask for scientific evidence of things. It's critical to understand what science is, and it's based on hypothesis. So if you don't know, and you're like, well, it's a phenomena, then fine, we'll agree and then see what comes
When did
after that.
I say it's a phenomena? When did I say it's a phenomena?
You
I thought
didn't.
I
That's the
said.
point. You didn't.
Oh, okay. I thought you.
You said it was based on an observation.
No, I said that
Yes,
it's
you
an
did.
axiom you arrive at when you observe a cause and effect chain,
You didn't
and
say
you
that.
want to find the cause for that.
That's not what
Okay,
you said the first
That's
time.
not what you
Nathan,
said.
I'm gonna shut up now.
Ideally, I'd have just got to the end, by now. So step one is observe a naturally occurring phenomena, something occurring, happening. So you can say, I wonder what caused that. And then you suppose a cause of it. So in a hypothesis, it's only got two sides of it. Side one is step one, the dependent variable, otherwise known as the phenomena in nature you are studying, the occurrence you want to know the cause of. So step one, why did that happen? Well, the thing that you're looking at when you go, wow, why did that happen, is the phenomena. That's the dependent variable in the hypothesis. So that's it. 50% of the hypothesis we've already got. It's the dependent variable, the thing you're studying. Why did that happen? That is your phenomena. The other half of the hypothesis is the presumed cause of the effect. I think this caused that. Now, this is your independent variable, that which you, the researcher, in an experiment will vary. It's the thing you'll manipulate to hopefully cause the effect you're studying. So a hypothesis is the effect, dependent variable, and the cause, independent variable. I'm not quite done. There is also, in a scientific prediction, also known as a hypothesis, the null, or zero difference result. Now, a null is the opposite of your prediction. So if you predict, independent variable, that A causes B, B being the thing you're studying in nature, A being the thing you're going to vary, then your null result prediction, otherwise known as null hypothesis, is A won't cause B. So in summary, a full scientific prediction, also known as a hypothesis, consists of a phenomena, dependent variable, presumed cause of the phenomena, independent variable, and the antithesis of the prediction. That's A won't cause B. Now, the reason you have that as the mother of science, if you will, the thing it's all based on, is because upon variation of A, it can only have one of those two outcomes. So the first outcome is A causes B. That's called an alternative hypothesis. A causes B. Suppositional in nature, it's not proven yet. But alongside it, the null. A won't cause B. So when you do an experiment that's varying A, it will either cause B or not cause B. Ergo, at the end of an experiment, the actualization of the hypothesis, something's proven. You either prove A caused B, or you prove A doesn't cause B. One or other will be proven. So the outcome of a scientific prediction, that's hypothesis-based experimentation, or actualization of hypothesis, experiment, is an empirical outcome. It can only be that outcome, and that will never, ever change. Ever. Empirical. Even if you validate the null, which you're not trying to test, you're not trying to prove things don't cause other things, you're trying to prove they do. But if you vary your presumed cause and nothing happens, you have empirically proven that A doesn't cause B. Not 99.9%, just doesn't cause it. 100% valid, empirical. So that's bare knuckle basics, brass tacks of the scientific method. So, in conclusion, when we ask for scientific evidence of gravity, what we are actually asking for is a, first and foremost, observed natural phenomena. What's that? Things tend towards the ground. That's not even a phenomena. Some things go up. End of the argument. If you understand what science is. There we go. I'm done. I know that was a bit long-winded, and thank you for your patience. I'll be no black sheep.
Thank you.
That was very well done. Are we good on that topic for now? Because we have a celestial navigation expert in chat in Discord, and I want to read out what he said.
Quick, get us the height of the star immediately. We're all going to die.
No, this is a little different. Do you want me to read it? I put it in Master B. and it's from Yeno Guns. Brian, are you out there?
Yena guns.
Yeah, what is it?
Okay, here we go. This message says, and you could post it, Nathan, if you feel like it, but
It's
I'll
up.
read it.
Yeah, it's up.
The refraction correction is always applied in celestial navigation in two ways, actually. Number one, the altitude of the celestial body is corrected depending on the measured altitude. This is the well-known refraction correction table that is in the Naval Almanac is for, always. Number two, the dip angle correction includes 7/6R refraction correction. This table is mostly thought to be correcting for the horizon dropping away from the horizontal line on the globe, but it is calculated for a refracted radius, not geometric radius. This table is also in the Nautical Almanac, always.
No, that's completely wrong. the the first refraction he's talking about, that is actually just making up for perspective. Technically, that's what it is. When it comes to celestial refraction, it happens below 20 degrees above the horizon. That's when these days it's added in basically into the dip corrections. These days in the modern dip corrections is added in just so you don't have to go doing that extra calculation. But it's mainly for below 20 degrees above the 15, 20 degrees above the horizon. The second one he's talking about, that doesn't exist. That's mathematics based on a radius that was never measured. And it has nothing to do with the dip correction, and it is not in the Naval Almanac. A lot of these people mix up because some of the naval literature will talk about a mathematical horizon. So they'll give a distance to the horizon, a 0.097, and these people mix up that the distance they're giving is a mathematical distance, and it involves a right triangle to even give it, which means that the water underneath the boat to this mathematical distance horizon has to be horizontal anyway. But not all of them do that. There's no over 6R anywhere in the almanac. Anywhere. It doesn't exist. It has nothing to do with nothing to do with the measurement of an elevation angle or the dip correction. Absolutely nothing to do with it.
All right.
What he's saying would be impossible.
You're going to let him rebut. Guns, come off mute.
Ahoy, hoy.
Ahoy, hoy.
Mr. Burns over here?
Yes, the reason why they had him say that is because it was the original greeting said into the phone, or the original proposed greeting when the phone was invented, to say ahoy, hoy. It lost a hello.
Wow.
There you go. You had Brian's thoughts on your little spiel. What you got to say about that?
It was a lot of information. Unfortunately, I will always be truthful on this. I am parroting information I've queried to others who are, from my perspective, more well-versed than I on this matter. So I would like to get that information written down so I can actually look at it independently.
Yeah, I've heard this. I've heard this claim before, and I'll be honest with you. It's unfortunate that people are given these claims because you're coming into a show or into a Discord server with a claim that I know can't be supported. Because I've had it out with Ruhif. He's at to take a step back. He can't support it. MC Toon, Proto, none of them can support it because it's not in the almanacs. The dip correction is based on the height of the observer's eye above the water below the boat. That is what the correction is for. That's all it is. There is no refraction involved in the dip correction. It's purely a mathematical correction. No,
from my understanding, that's so that you can point to the geometric horizon, though.
Sorry? To the what?
So from my understanding of what you said there, it's because you're higher up, the geometric horizon is at a different angle. So those dip angles are relative to your height.
Please let me
to
do it,
give you the
Brian.
correct angle to the horizon.
Let me do it.
No.
Let
so
me
that
do
you
it.
can
Let me do
then
it.
form the triangle
Come on, just
correctly.
let me do it. I want to do it. I want to do it.
No.
I want to ask Rufy. Come on, just
He's
let
going
me
to
do
miss the
it.
point if you do. I'll go on. I'll go on. It's your show. Go on.
How's that geometric horizon working out for you, Rufy? Good? Good? You get it, Brian.
You got to explain that
Yeah.
to him, though.
Now, the dip is the dip. The dip correction is a correction for the height of the observer's eye above the water underneath the boat. It is a correction for the either to bring the line. The best way to describe the dip correction is the horizon and the distance to the horizon has no bearing on the dip correction. So the horizon could be 2 miles away from a boat or 100 miles away from the boat. It won't change the dip correction. The dip correction is only for the height of the eye above the water below the boat. And the reason you do the dip correction is to get a 90 degrees at both the observer's GP and the GP of the celestial body. Because you need two 90 degrees with parallel zeniths. That's how it works. The dip correction requires the water at the horizon, regardless of how far away it is, to be in a horizontal with the water underneath the boat. That's what the dip correction is. There is no refraction. There is no geometric or refracted horizon involved in the dip correction.
Hold on. Let me just clarify that just for the gentleman.
No, I don't need it clarified. If I can follow that up, firstly, why would it be called a dip correction if it's not for the dip of the curvature? I know it's not a proper question, but to me that would be why it's named.
In regards
Let's
to
ignore that.
the dip to the tangent
I just
point
need to
horizon.
answer
I just want to ask you: do you mean the dip, the straight line to the tangent point geometric horizon? The correction for that?
Yes, the dip of the horizon geometrically from your position.
I see. So, we're doing this on no Atmo day, right?
Yeah, because from my understanding, the dip isn't actually
my
about
bad,
refraction.
Just
It
didn't
is
hear your answer.
geometric.
I just need to clarify your answer. We're doing this on no Atmo day, correct?
Yes.
So you think mariners go out and suck all the air so that we don't have 7/6 of
No,
the radius?
that is not what I'm saying.
I hadn't
That
finished
is
my
trauma.
statement.
What
My
I'm
bad.
saying
My
is
bad.
the dip
My
angle
bad. My
doesn't
bad.
look at the
My bad.
horizon.
Middle of my statement. My bad. So your answer was yes. We are doing this on no Atmo day. So sailors are out.
No, I misunderstood your answer, your question. I am saying no Atmo, as in ignoring any refraction. The dip correction is purely geometric.
So ignoring 7/6 of a radius value.
I can
So I'm not well versed enough to know what that means.
Yeah, okay. So refraction on a globe is 7/6 of the radius. My question is, we're doing this angle correction to a geometric tangent point that we are told since 2020 that we can't see. We wouldn't expect to see it. I mean, it only exists in the maths below surface level. So nobody's expecting to see the geometric horizon. These are all quotes from fundamentalist religious zealots on your own side, just so you know. Anyway, so how are we going to do this exactly, given that we're not going to see this? It's not no Atmo day. I don't really follow. This is a bit confusing to me. Maybe you can explain how we're doing this dip correction to a point we can't see below surface level that no one on the globe, at least, is expecting to see. I mean, it's not a problem for us. It's just a problem for you, given how many times over the last 3 years you've told us it's refracted. So how are we going to angle correct to this geometric point if it's refracted? Can you explain that to me, please? Thank you.
So prefacing with that, it needs that R value that you hate, but I'm still talking, so I'll carry on. The dip values purely take the geometric, can use a like, was it a bubble protractor? A protractor that's kind of like a spirit level. So you can, independent of looking at the horizon, just looking at your bearing, get the angle on the dip table. That gives you your baseline, the flat of the triangle, to give you your right angle to GP that you can adjust for. And that's your flat baseline that you say is impossible on the curve.
I see. And
that's
GP,
it. There is no looking at the
sorry,
horizon.
okay,
you
sorry.
can do it indoors.
Okay, I heard you. Let me just clarify what you've just said, though. You've said that gives you the flat base to the GP, correct?
From you to the geometrical horizon, purely using the angle based on your height by using the dip calculator. You can do it indoors. The geometric horizon would still be there at that angle based on the R value.
So you said it was a flat line. The base was flat, correct?
A line drawn from you elevated to the horizon. Yes, that line, that imaginary line, which doesn't invalidate anything, is flat.
Okay.
It is 2 points.
And that's to the GP, right?
That is from your GP, which is elevated off from your position on the water, to the horizon is 2 points and 1 vertex. It is a flat
we're not,
imaginary line.
we're not measuring
No,
for the horizon.
you're speaking across
Hello, hold
purposes,
on, Brian.
Nathan.
We're not measuring for the horizon, though. We're measuring for the star's GP, are we not?
Yeah, would you hold on? Stars GP I'm kind of unfamiliar with at the moment. I know your GP
It's okay.
is
It's all
ground
right.
position.
We're establishing a baseline with the horizon. You understand that, right? And that's flat. You
Yeah.
understand that, right?
Don't answer that because I feel I'm going to fall into a trap, to be honest.
It's a right angle triangle. It's not exactly a bloody gotcha. It's a right angle triangle with a 90-degree below the star.
Yeah, so... that
you just have to say yes. You don't have to mutter and stumble and mutter. You just yes will do.
Okay. Yes.
So
from your position to the horizon,
we've established with the horizon. Or your my bad. What is the problem? We've established a horizontal, which you described. Now that horizontal meets the GP of the star. Do you understand that or not?
Yes. That would be reflected in this
image. And you said you said that this line extends out imaginary, nothing to do with the geometric horizon. Fine. Okay. What does?
No, wrong.
Pardon?
No, I did not say that. It is related to the geometric horizon from your position elevated off the water.
How can that be? The geometric horizon isn't flat. It's curving away from.
No, it doesn't matter. It is a conceptual point in the distance.
Stop. Doesn't matter. You've just described a right angle. Hello, I don't need help. I don't need help. You just described a right angle triangle. It doesn't have a curved baseline. What are you talking about? Of course it matters.
No, that is not what I said. If I get this particular image, which is in an extreme dimension, so please do not take it to scale, your position at O, the dip angle gives you for your elevation H, the dip angle that would put you looking at the geometric horizon, HGO, that gives you a flat line to form your triangle and then adjust for the degrees to GP because you're naturally looking down.
I see. So the line that moves out sort of extends into space.
No, because that's not to scale. O is where you are.
Sorry, is it on the ground or is it extending out into space?
It is from your position to the geometric horizon's ground.
I mean we're not measuring the geometric horizon's ground. What the hell kind of language are you using? We're measuring the GP position of the star, and the baseline in this diagram extends out, not along the ground, but out into space.
If we had...
Why am I being asked a question? Why am I being asked a question? I'm asking if this flat line for the triangle extends out into space. You haven't said yes or no. It does. It's on screen. The audience can
No,
see
it does not. That is not to scale. If we had an anti-dip table for Nathan Oakley's living room, the negative would allow you to look at the corner of your living room corner. Now, that line, if you carried on, will go out your house and into space, yes. This red line is from your position O, where you are H off of the ground. So you're on the boat, that's H, plus the boat, plus the water, whatever. The dip angle, DGO, from that almanac based on your height, if you point at that angle, that line will point that site, shall we say, which I said you could do indoors, would intersect and hit the top of what would be your geometric horizon on that circle. It is not extended into space. It is from your feet to the geometric horizon. Now, I will preface, I have maybe 5-10 more minutes and I have to pick up the wife from her work.
Okay, so...
But there is no
you're
going
saying
into
it only
space.
extends... Okay, I heard. It only extends to the geometric horizon. So you don't think it extends...
This is all wrong from the very start. It couldn't be more wrong. Because I wasn't allowed to sort the problem at the start. So off you go.
We can't go back 3 pages. What's
He
wrong
has the
here?
dip correction wrong. He doesn't... You think, don't you, Alex, is it? You think the dip is down to a geometric globe horizon. That's what you think the correction is for, isn't it?
I'm afraid it's not Alex, it's Yin. It's Yin or Yon, I don't care.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, Yinil. Sorry, Yinil, is it? Yinil?
Yeah, Yin is good. I used to have spaces around the old Xbox.
Yin.
I didn't bring it over.
Okay, Yin. Okay, so you believe that the dip is a correction for a line of sight from the eye of the observer down to a geometric horizon to bring that line up to eye level.
No.
That's what you believe, isn't it?
Well, hold on. So that if
Yes
I
or no?
bring it up to eye level, you mean if you look down, you would then be looking at it? Yes. But nothing to do with refraction of artificially bringing it up. Your head is bringing it up.
Hang on. So you believe the dip is from the eye line down to a geometric horizon of a globe, and the correction brings it up to the eye level. That's all I need, yes or no on.
No, I don't know what you mean by bringing it up. Nothing is brought up except for you tilting your head down
Well, you
to
can't
look
bring,
at the
well,
geometric
see, this is
horizon.
the thing, right? You can either bring the line up, there's two ways to describe it mathematically. You can either bring the line up from the horizon to the eye line, or you can bring the vertex of the angle down to sea level. Either way, the angle, the line that's going from the eyes is not going to a globe's geometric horizon. It is not, that is not, it's not even in the maths. You're correcting for the height of the eye above the water underneath the boat. If you were correcting for a globe's geometric horizon, then that would be a point that would be lower in elevation than the water underneath the boat. So the correction for the height of eye would be pointless because you'd still have an error. This is what I tried to tell you earlier.
How big of
The
an
dip
error? Is that
correction
error
requires-
statistically
one sec.
significant,
The dip
or is it minor?
correction requires the water at the horizon to be in a horizontal line with the water underneath the boat, because you've got to create two 90-degree angles, one at the GP point of the observer and one at the GP point of the celestial body. And those zeniths have both got to be parallel to each other with a horizontal line between them. That's how it
Okay,
works. You're not
let me clarify.
correcting for any globe's horizon. That's not
Let me
part of it.
clarify. If you've got two 90-degree angles, how do we get a triangle?
Where'd you get them on a globe?
Hang on.
Yeah, we
no,
do.
No, leave me
Because
answer
it's
that.
curved.
Leave me answer that.
It is a
Leave me
three-dimensional
answer that.
triangle.
Sorry,
Hang
did
on.
you just say it's a three-dimensional triangle? Do you know what triangles are?
Do you know what pyramids
Do you
are?
define a triangle.
Yeah, I can answer
In
that.
2D space, a triangle is 3 points connected by 3 vertices. However, if you have a sphere,
3 points connected.
you can.
Sorry, 3 points connected or 3 lines connected.
Since interrupted you, I will continue.
Well, it's 3 lines connected. You said 3 points connected. Well, it's straight lines that connect those points. And if we don't clarify whether or not those lines are straight or not, you'll be telling me that the points are connected by curves in a second, won't you?
Yes, of course they are.
No, because then they're not angles anymore. You can't have angles meeting curves. That's not how angles work. You don't understand what a triangle is because you don't understand what an angle is because you think a curve can meet a vertex to give you an angle, and that is simply incorrect. Curves don't meet vertices to give you angles. You are simply wrong and stupid. You don't have to like that, but you don't know what a triangle is. It is simple.
If we're still talking, I would like you.
But maybe you can rumpus me every single time I tell you you don't know what a triangle is. Angles meet straight lines.
Or maybe you could just be really angry and try.
No, I'm not angry. You're a dick.
don't know what a
You don't understand what a triangle is.
Point.
You don't understand what a triangle is. Doesn't mean
If
curve.
I may finish, anyone can get a sphere,
you
draw
may
3
not.
points with right angles, and they will be
No,
a
you
triangle
may
with 3
not.
right angles. I could do it now. I could do it now if I did not have to go pick up.
No, that would be curved lines meeting vertices, which isn't an angle. You don't understand what an angle is.
Yeah.
Do you want to define angle
You will
for
not
us?
continue.
I don't need any
You
help.
will not continue after your train wreck of not knowing what a triangle is, sir. You would fail 3rd grade geometry.
Also, triangles inherently are two-dimensional. The minute you add a 3rd dimension, it becomes a pyramid or another structure. He doesn't understand geometry.
Yes, so sir, I know you got very angry and decided that you wouldn't take the correction about straight lines meeting vertices. Nevertheless, you were incorrect, and you don't know what a triangle is. It's not me being angry, it's just you being stupid. You don't have to like that. That's what you rumpus.
Maybe.
So, you don't understand what a triangle is? Oh, he's run away. Of course. He had his wife
Well,
lined
he
up to
did
go
say
and
he had to
collect
go.
right at the point that he lost. Shocking.
See, that's
Yeah,
the part I don't
see-
get. When clarity, I'm sorry, Brian, let me just say this. When there's such clarity being brought, I don't get it. Why they're not getting it? And that's frustrating to me.
It's quite simple, Neil. They don't understand what a triangle is.
Come on.
What do you mean, come on? That's what just happened. He said it was between points, and I was like, no, it's got to be between straight lines. Well, he talked through every word of it, so he didn't have to hear it, because he needs triangles to meet curved lines and curved surfaces 3-dimensionally. He'll never get 90 off a curve. He said immediately, yeah, I've got one. I can have 3 90s. What, 90-degree angles? with curves meeting at the vertices at 90 degrees. No, that's not an angle because it's curved lines meeting. That's not going to give you an angle. Fundamentally, he doesn't understand what a triangle is. But knowing that the end was near, I think he subtly dropped in that he'd got to collect his wife right at around the point he'd be held to task on him not understanding triangles.
The
It's amazing what
390s he's talking about
Thank you,
is
Yannick.
what he would call, 1 second, the 390s he's talking about, for people's clarity, is what he would try and call a spherical triangle on a
Contradiction
globe.
in, contradiction in
And it's
terms.
complete nonsense. Adam took it apart.
Yeah, spherical triangles.
Go on.
Contradiction in terms, correct?
Yes, yes, thank you. Try a third time. Yes, that's a contradiction in terms.
Well,
Thank
I
you,
know that from
Yenigans.
hearing you guys.
Thank you, Yenigans, for proving yourself. Thank you for proving yourself what I said you were. Thank you.
You mean
No,
proving
in
himself?
fairness to him, give him a little bit of credit. He came in when he was called out, and he did come in. And he was look. I come across this with the baller, a lot of ballers like him, where they're given information from people like McToon and not even Proto, and Ruhif and all these other people, and it's all wrong information. So, but they believe they're after getting it from a reputable source. And Proto is involved as well. Sorry, don't get me wrong. Proto is involved as well. Where they're literally pumping out rubbish to people and giving people the impression that celestial navigation is done this way, involving a globe. And people like Yin don't know any difference because they're just getting the information off of people that they think know what they're talking about. But the people they're getting the information off of either don't know what they're talking about or just pure lying. And this is the problem. This is what's wrong. We have a load of people out there who are on the ball side who think they know how celestial navigation works because they're getting fed rubbish by people on their own side that they think are somewhat knowledgeable.
Just on his diagram. Where's his 90? On this diagram that he's got this green diagram. Where's the 90 on this?
I can't see it at all.
Well, you need spherical
Someone posted it in
triangles
Skype.
to work it out, right?
It's in Skype, Neil.
Thank you.
Brian.
See, Nathan, to him, a ball, a circle is a sphere, a square is a cube, and a triangle is a pyramid because he lives in a three-dimensional world. So he got everything. I don't know. He sounds like he's right from the class of all the other guys that's been on here. And he said the same thing. It just sounded like he had the same voice. I couldn't even really differentiate who he was. Like, was he somebody that returned under another sock account with another name, another avatar? It sounded like an old show repeating itself. It was. Thank you, Yenigans. Appreciate you.
This is not a triangle, this picture. You're talking about the red diagram he's got, the red writing that looks like a shark fin sideways.
Yeah, the diagram. This is exactly what I knew he was getting it wrong. See that red line? The red line is going to go from his geometric horizon up to plane of astronomical horizon, which would be the eye line. That's what he thinks the dip correction is. The dip correction is between the plane of the local horizon on his local horizon on his diagram and the plane of astronomical horizon. It's a dip between two parallel horizontals. That's what because the correction is between O and P. That's what the correction is, not between H and O. He doesn't understand the correction. He doesn't have the correction right. Like the rest of them, they all think the same thing.
Yeah,
and this is why there's so many videos on it. Go on, sorry.
We always look at 120 degrees angles down to see the horizon. That's what I always do.
Yeah. To the geometric horizon nobody can see, which he skirted past.
Yes. Yes. just on the face of it, with the observer looking down to HGO. Boy, that sounds sciencey. What do you say? 120? 120 degrees? Maybe a little less. So just on the face of it, you're a moron. Not even getting into you don't know what a triangle is. What's this plane of a local horizon and plane of astronomical horizon? A lot of planes in here.
Yeah, it's the one he
Yeah,
didn't want to.
that's reality.
He didn't want to concede it was extending out to space. I like it.
Oh, it's to scale, Nathan.
Not to scale.
Well, see, the thing is, though, he needs eye level to meet to be able to draw a line from eye level to where sea level meets the sky, and then that's how he's going to, say that refraction creates an apparent horizon. It'll be below surface level, though. The only way they can do it, they need the Earth to be flat to make these claims.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
to summarize, we got the plane of the horizon, the plane of local horizon extending out into space. This is what we're actually operating on because it's the only thing that will give you 90 degrees at your position and 90 degrees at the zenith position, if you want to call it GP of the star, which would be out here in space somewhere. Right. Then we've got the next problem, which is we've got a plane of astronomical horizon, that's eye level, versus the plane of the local horizon, that's surface level. And then we've got this third HGO. What's this straight line? What's all this about? Are we talking about things we look at? Oh, it's definitely not no Atmo day. Besides which, it's below the plane of local horizon. That'd be surface level, where the GP of the star will be. Obviously not marked on this diagram and he didn't want to talk about it. Of course. It's riddled. They haven't got this geometric horizon below surface level. And even if they did, the line to it, if we're talking about what we see, because that's what we're dealing with at sea when we're dealing with sextants, it's got a bent line to it in their model, hasn't it now? It's not no Atmo day. So they haven't got a horizon below surface level. If they did, it would be refracted. It's a complete cluster screw.
Well, he gave away his. He gave away.
Go ahead,
his
Brian.
problem.
Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry,
I was just saying refraction, no problem.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Go on, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I honestly didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Maybe because I was talking over you.
Anyway, Brian, seriously, go ahead.
Yeah. When he said, but why is it called dip? This is the problem they have. The dip correction, also known as the height of eye correction, the height of eye correction, also known as the dip correction. They think of dip, and all they can think of is a dip down to a geometric globe horizon. They can't understand the correction is for the height of the observer's eye.
Yeah.
Which is why Robert.
You're correct. You're correct. And you said it a number of times. You are correct. But why didn't anyone hit him with the rubber
ducky? I knew it. I was going to say.
Didn't get the opportunity.
All right. Fair enough.
I actually forgot about the rubber ducky life preserver argument. In other words, just for the audience's benefit, if you toss out the boat, right? So he's talking about you're on a ship. Let's say it's a big ship and you're 50 or 60 feet above sea level, right? Next thing you know, with the sextant, someone screams navigator and you go, let's get the height because you're all japing around. Next thing you know, you fall over the side, right? And someone tosses you a rubber ring, like a life preserver. So you're then actually on the sea level. You're on the sea. So you hold your sextant and you can still establish a horizon. How much dip are you going to correct for at that point? Well, none. You've already established horizontal. Are you doing a dip in, let's just bring the diagram back up, in respect to a geometric horizon, angled down from your position when you're already in the sea? It negates their dip to a below surface level straight line horizon that was debunked in 2020 by the Black Swan. So rubber ducky life preserver. Unless someone's got a more consistent summary of how I've described it, go ahead.
Thing is, as well, guys. I mean, we all know this. All he's got to do is just search the definition of dip correction, and it tells you right there. I did it 3 times while you was talking. I know this anyway, but it tells you exactly what it is. It's to bring the observer's eye down to sea level. You can end the story.
Pretty much sums it up there.
Which, in other words, if you do that physically,
Monday.
if you because we're talking about physically observing things, if you toss the guy over the side of the ship, yeah, he's not going to have to bring his eye down to sea level when his eye's in the sea. Do you see where we're going with this? Rubber ducky life preserver.
So he said, Gen said, so everyone listen up. Everyone got the rubber ducky life preserver. This gentleman said the dip angle correction includes 7/6R refraction and a refracted radius. So, with the guy with the rubber ducky life preserver, Where did the 7/6R refraction go and the refracted radius go? Did it change just because he's in a rubber ducky light preserver? Clowns!
Yeah, because I think they think the dip correction is a dip to a refracted horizon that could be at any distance below surface level.
But that's what he said, Brian.
Okay,
didn't
well,
he?
let's address
He
his
said,
actual
what else
argument.
could they be talking about?
Hold on, Neil. His general rebuttal, just so it doesn't get lost in the wayside or thrown to the wayside, was that this isn't to scale. Okay, fine. Well, on screen now is a couple of diagrams that were put together by Adam. So on the left, we've got what would be roughly equivalent to a scale of, let's say, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 miles in all directions from the midpoint. So for my audience's benefit, I'm putting the mouse over the midpoint that you're taking all these angles to triangulate your position with celestial navigation. Well, as you can see labelled on this diagram, each point below the star, which is where I was trying to lead the guy, but Brian, wanted to get the dip correction argument. And I let you because yours took precedent. I want to give Brian kudos because there was a time when I said this isn't even important to Brian, and he got very angry with me, and rightly so, because his argument did take precedent in that regard. Anyway, this is where I was trying to lead him, better though Brian's point was that when you've got a 90 degree, which isn't on his diagram, I'll bring that back up again, and intentionally not on his diagram, right? Because on this diagram, 90 degree would be meeting a curved surface, or it's meeting the plane of the local horizon, right? So it doesn't have a 90 below the star in this diagram. But that's not how celestial navigation works. Meanwhile, we'll go back to how it would be drawn out to scale on a flat versus curved surface. And in this instance, the points that are curving away from you on the ground, and this point here below the star is the ground position. GP, he called it. Well, yeah, that's the correct abbreviation, but it means ground position, not out in space on a flat baseline you've established when you can't have any 90s on a curve. But this 90 isn't 90 anymore because it's meeting a curve. And it's the same in all directions from wherever you are on a sphere surface. So triangulation simply fails because you need a flat baseline in all directions to all the stars, a la this this diagram on the right-hand side, where flat baseline in all directions, that's a flat Earth with ground positions below the stars at 90 to your position. That's how triangulation is actually achieved, like this diagram. As soon as you curve the baseline to the ground position, this is no longer 90. It fails. You haven't got a triangle anymore. Well, what they need to do on the globe side is forget about these triangles going up to the stars. They need to start drawing triangles that are on curved surfaces to allude to the idea, let's just bring that diagram up, that we're describing curved lines to geometric horizons. Absolutely not. That was where Brian stepped in and his point took precedent, because what he's really arguing for is dip correction to geometric horizons, once it was tolerated for him to beg the question, because we were toying with him. But anyway, we got there in the end, and I think it's important that people understand what Brian's describing, because their dip correction can't be to a geometric horizon. Just correction for either.
But the idea of a geometric horizon, it would be, I want to know if that individual thinks it is the measurement from where sea level meets the sky to your eye level. If he thinks that's what you're measuring.
That's the horizon. It is, and his horizon isn't visible. End of their argument. For it to be an angle correction, it must be to the geometric horizon. For anybody who's not picking up on all this, we've been doing it for about 2 years to Roo here. When we say, how's that geometric horizon working out for you, Roofy? It's an angle correction, so it must be to a point that gives you a straight line. That cannot be anything else if it's an angle correction. All right, so it's going to be to the geometric horizon, which you can't see. Okay, refraction always, never going to see it, wouldn't expect to see it. Nobody's claiming we see it. These are all quotes from Globers that I gave our opponent a moment ago. So we're all clear we can't see the geometric horizon on a globe. Okay? Well, you're not going to do angle corrections from it then, are you? That's it. That's the end of the argument. For them.
Right, but as evidence of what we are on, and a positive claim you can make, is you have two horizontal planes and you're measuring a differential angle between the two. They're doing the same thing.
Yep. It's all going to start with a flat Earth. That's the overriding... No, Brian's going to get shut down because that's more important. Absolutely correct. The starting point for all of this, geometry, if you're going to call it on a globe or otherwise, it is a flat plane that's being extrapolated in all instances. That's the most important point. That's where we've advanced over the last 12 months, I would say. The ability to disseminate that flat Earth fact, that all roads start at a flat Earth. Or if you're on the other end of that journey, all roads end in a flat Earth. Sorry, ballers.
Because that's the only thing it can be, right?
But it's what it is. That's how it's measured. That's how it's navigated. That's how it's observed. That's how it's built on. There's only so much you can say about the obvious and observable nature of our reality in terms of how it functions. But yeah, every road you go down will ultimately lead to the base of a flat Earth. There's a veneer of globe, and the analogy Wakey gave was exceptional in this regard, right? So you go, no, I do this Google search and it says globe. Okay, get a bit closer. It's a papier-mâché globe that you just have to put your finger on and it'll go straight through. And lo and behold, there's people on the other side of it staring through at the empty void inside. Well, that's us looking at you from the other side. Going, yeah, it's just empty, innit? Yeah, behind here, though, behind this papier-mâché subterfuge, is a flat Earth that all the angles are based on for all the flat maps that we navigate with areas of equal elevation and sea level and all the other level descriptions that we have, horizontal in nature. Because it's flat. You can't do anything else with it. You can't measure it as a globe if it isn't one.
Can I give another example of that? Based on my video on the weekend?
I'm going to go with
I'm going to go with no. Neil got that first.
Definitely not.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, yeah. In my video, I show. Sorry about the echo. It's just where I have to be.
It's outrageous. Get out. What are you even doing here? Do you not know how I like the show? Sorry, Brian. That's the last interruption, I promise. Everyone go on mute. Go ahead.
No worries. In my video, I show that the mean latitude between Sydney and Perth in Australia is 32 degrees south. The mean latitude between Charleston, South Carolina, and Long Beach, California, is 32 degrees north. The difference in distance between Sydney and Perth and Charleston, South Carolina, and Long Beach, California, is only, actually, you could change it to Newcastle as opposed to Sydney in Australia, and it would be 50 or 60 miles. If you add in Sydney, it'd be about 150 miles of a difference, right? In distance, in length, right? That's flight. That's flight distance, straight line flight distance. So what I point out is when it's 10 o'clock in Sydney or Newcastle, let's just say, it's 8 o'clock in Perth. Sydney and Newcastle are on the east coast, Perth is on the west coast. That's 2 hours. That means that the sun, right, because this is all based on, because what this means is that there is 2 portions of longitude, right, covering Australia. What I mean by that is there is a longitude line to the east of Sydney, and there is a longitude line to the west of Perth. And there is another one going straight through the middle of Australia, right? That means because the longitude lines are based on 24 hours, a 24-hour sun, right? 24 hours of sunlight. So, and the cycle of the sun being 24 hours. That's where we get the 24 hours comes from. Is all an hour, 24 hours, minutes, seconds. It's all derived from the sun. That means that within 2 hours, the sun will move. That the sun, let's say, the time in Sydney is only 2 hours difference from the time in Perth. But the time in Charleston, South Carolina, is 3 hours difference between there and Long Beach, California. Because there is 2 intersecting longitude lines at that latitude in America. The only way that is possible for there to be 2 longitude lines intersecting the 32-degree parallel in America and only one the 32-degree parallel in Australia, the only way that is possible is for the Earth to be flat. It is impossible for that to happen any other way. Because that requires the latitude and longitude grid to be laid out as is shown on the Gleason's map. And it proves, because if you take the size of America, which is about equal to the size of Australia, and you put put that exact size onto the Gleason's map where Australia is, you will see that Australia is only intersected by one longitude line. The time zones, real time zones, not political. I don't want to hear about UTC time or politicized time zones where China decides the whole of China is in one time zone. Because that's, if politics have no bearing on the sun, I don't care about politics. When it comes to reality, where we get our time from, our timepiece is the sun, and how it's laid out and measured via the latitude and longitude grid, then the only way that is possible for 2 hours across Australia, 3 hours across America, is for the Earth to be a flat plane. There is no other way possible. And it's driving the ballers up the wall to the point where they're actually denying the sun as our timepiece.
And with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!